Welcome to the Xbox 2 podcast, live on this very, very hot Friday afternoon. I think we're at episode 277, getting close to that magical 300 mark. I am one of your hosts, Rand L419, the man with the million, and I am joined today by, I don't know what I'm going to call him. Just regular Jez Corden, I guess, whatever. He's regular Jez Corden.
But just regular Jez Corden?
Just regular Jez Corden, you know.
That's dispassionate. But we got a lot of new nicknames for you, Rand, in the chat. Randall Snore.
You know, look.
Randall
that was just a 1 week thing. I'm getting tagged in Discord. You're tagging me in Twitter threads about me oversleeping last week. This has to stop. This is too much. This isn't right, you know? Because now people are like, oh my god, is this actually going to happen? Is Xbox 2 actually going to be? Of course it's going to be on. You know, one time something goes wrong out of 277 times, and suddenly now this is like a trend. Like, oh, Rand's always sleeping. Randall snore. Randall bore. Like, whatever. This absolutely needs to come to a close and be over with.
I'm regular Jez, so you can be regular Rand this week.
Yeah, but, I mean, I'm always regular Rand. You're feelings-based Jez today.
I'm not.
You're always feelings-based Jez.
Well, I suppose I'm feelings-based Jez because I don't have a lot of information at the minute. I'm just kind of working on my instincts, and that's how it works in feelings-based world. But one of the other feelings-based worlds I'm living in one of the facts-based worlds I'm living in right now is Gamescom, because I'm going out there and I've got all my meetings ready. I've got a good idea of what to expect there now. Obviously, I can't talk about a lot of it because it's under NDA, but I am pretty damn excited for what I'm going to be seeing there, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean,
pretty excited.
It is very exciting. Gamescom, you know, E3 was always the holy grail for me, but now that that's dead, I guess it really is just Gamescom. So keep in mind, I think we mentioned it last week, but we'll mention it again this week. The week of Gamescom, are we doing it? We're not doing a show that week. It'll be on that Monday after, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it'll probably be.
Because I'm saying, like, you don't.
There's a chance we could do it Saturday.
I don't know. I might as well just wait till Monday. I don't want to screw over Gaz and Asa and stuff. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
Might as well just wait.
We'll do Saturday.
I mean, because you know, this is one of the first weeks in a long time where there's really no ABK stuff. Thank the Lord. But by the time they end up, you know, because the 29th is supposed to be the day for ABK. Mm-hmm. So we could be doing that show on Monday and then have a special show the day after because it could close.
Damn, that'd be fun.
That'd be fun.
And then do another show on Friday.
I mean, hell, we're doing 2 shows this week. We did a show on Monday, and we talked a lot of stuff there. And we're doing this show on regular day on Friday. And I was like getting topics. I'm like, man, there's really not too much to talk about considering we just did a show on Monday, but gotta do the show, right? The show has to go on. So
show has to go on, baby.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on this Friday. If you could do us a big favor, make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already, and please subscribe. We're almost on our way to like 98,000, Jazz. We're at like 97.3. Pretty close. Getting closer and closer every single day.
That's pretty epic, bro.
To the thing. So yeah. Other than that, we do have a sponsor for this episode, as we've had with Manscaped since I don't know, what has it been? September of 2021. Manscaped has sponsored a couple shows every month. So, Jazz, what's going on in the world of Manscaped?
There's something really exciting going on in the world of Manscaped, Rand, because I have where is it? Oh, it's right here. And I don't have the camera on, so I can't show people. But Manscaped has a new product, bro, and it's called the Handyman. So let's get into it.
The Handyman?
Handyman.
Okay.
Manscaped now has beard products, and they're available in your country. That's right. They're once again revolutionizing men's grooming with the brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. From a beard trim to a fresh shave, the technology behind the Beard Hedger Pro Kit allows you to shape your signature beard like never before. Now you can finally use Manscaped products to make your drapes match your carpet by going to manscaped.com and using code XB2 for 20% off and free shipping. It all starts with the Beard Hedger. First off, this cordless trimmer has a rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all with one guard. So no more messy drawers full of extra add-ons. Plus, it's waterproof, so you can shave in the shower and avoid all that hair in the sink. The titanium-coated T-blade is tough on hair, but smooth on face, leading to single-stroke efficiency. That brings satisfaction one stroke at a time. The Pro Kit doesn't end there, though. They have created 4 dermatologically tested formulations for your post-trim care. Shampoo, leave-in conditioner, beard oils, balms, and much more await. Whether you need a trim upstairs or downstairs, boxes and care for your love spuds, or gifts for your buds, head to manscaped.com with checkout code XB2, that's XB and the number 2, to grab 20% off and free worldwide shipping on everything. Beard Hedger, one stroke, one guard, 20 lengths. And thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. But yes, Rand. And I've also got the Handyman, which I didn't mention in the ad read, because I haven't used it yet, but I need to open it. But the Handyman is a compact face shaver, which can, if you are traveling and you're grooming on the go, and you've just got, if unlike me, you don't have a huge, crazy beard all over the place that needs like something more heavy duty, like the Beard Hedger. You just want to shave your 5 o'clock shadow, while you're on the go. The Handyman's a little hand razor, little hand shaver that can instantly and quickly get rid of up to 3 days worth of length with the epic 60 minutes lithium battery, charging, wirelessness, and it's also waterproof as well. So you can use that bad boy in the shower too. So that's all the good stuff for Manscaped? Manscaped. Manscaped.com worldwide. And XB2 in the checkout and all that good stuff. But yes, that's the Manscaped stuff done. And thanks to them again for sponsoring us. And anyone who buys stuff from Manscaped obviously supports the show. Really appreciate you guys. And Owl Theory says at 100k subscribers, Rand will demonstrate Manscaped on video.
Yeah,
is that true, Rand?
No, that's not true. That's definitely not true. But it's not just Manscaped. We have the wonderful people at Patreon with their shout-outs. And after that, we're going to announce our next guest, which is going to be very interesting. So we have Saucy Mods, James Wiseau, The Grandest of Bip, Chris Parney, Starsman, Hey Blinken, Army52C, Ryan Kipple, Foreign Object, Mythic Marty, Moronic Donkey 99, Makazilla, Randall Thor 19, Silas, Elijah Vasquez, James Moore, Halo is the franchise player, Katriox, Bright Tundra 1, Man with the Million Dogecoin, Justin Duo, Frank Mariano, PB Broking, Asa T and Madison, Untidy Tim, Grizzly Mofo OG, Governor Grimm, DZ Huffin, Andrew Courtney, Wagerman Achievement, The Scarecrow 121, Darren Torpy, Prof JJJ, Butterball 8, Ghostface Killer, Wolfgang KPZ, and Ralph Wiggum. So thank you guys for supporting us at patreon.com. Get in your questions by the end of the show, because there weren't that many, which is perfectly fine. We will be doing Xbox 2 Ultimate next week on I think Wednesday, so that should be fun. And I think we finally locked in our date for our next guest, which will be August 15th, which is a Tuesday, and we will be joined by Colin Moriarty of Last Stand Media and of Sacred Symbols podcast. So that is going to be a very, very interesting show, because we all know how Colin feels about certain aspects of Xbox and the ABK deal. So Colin Moriarty will be on Xbox 2+1 on the 15th, right, Jez?
Yes, indeed. So Colin's joining us on XB2+1. And you can catch that on Patreon. Catch that on Patreon at on the Ultimate tier if you want to watch it live, and also on the Premium tier you will get early access to the audio version, and then a week later we'll put it live to the public on my YouTube channel over here. So yeah, should be an interesting show, because Me and Colin and Rand and Colin, I guess, have very, very different opinions on the Xbox Game Pass and the Xbox business model and all that kind of stuff. So it should be an interesting show. And a lot of you guys have asked for it, so it's going to be a spicy one, I think.
Yeah, he was the most requested guest for Xbox 2+1. So we definitely, we look at who people want, and he was the one requested the most. So it was like, all right, let's see if we can get him to come on. And I feel very differently than Colin about a lot of stuff. So I'm not also one to just sit there and let people talk. So if Colin says something I don't particularly agree with, well, I'll definitely say my piece as well. So
yeah, should be interesting. We'll see how we go.
Yeah. Let's see. We got so that'd be the 15th. So we have Addigator in the super chat saying, for Gamescom, would Xbox show off reveals at Jeff's opening night live or focus more on their own event at Gamescom? Well, considering there's not like a actual showcase, anything that's being streamed, even though there are streams, I think there's like they're gonna have like kind of what they did last year, where it's like people from Xbox kind of streaming something, talking to people, but it's not like what they just did for E3. I could see there being maybe something for Jeff's opening night live, although I get the sense that Jeff's opening night live is of like lower importance than Summer Games Fest and the Game Awards show. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. I just get the feeling like when you look at his 3 shows, like the Gamescom one is like the lowest rung, the lowest tier, and you would want to either be at the Summer Games Fest one or preferably at the end of the year for the Game Awards. And one night opening live is kind of just eh. So Xbox could have an announcement there. Like, they could announce, I don't know, Age of Empires 4 console edition if it is coming this year. That could easily be a trailer. Yeah. Something like that, something small. I don't think it would be anything like big, personally. But
well, you got to remember, it's a different market, right? So it's going to be in Germany. And one thing that Microsoft has often done in the past is they talk about Flight Simulator in Germany. They also talk about Age of Empires in Germany. It'd be a good place to talk about Ara History Untold as well. 4X strategy games are big in Germany as well, and in Europe in general. So I think that's probably, a good place to talk about some of this stuff. So, yeah, Gamescom historically has never been as big as E3 or the Game Awards. We are moving into a post-E3 kind of world. And a lot of developers who maybe they couldn't get into an E3 showcase to show off their stuff, maybe they'll put them in this show instead. And this year has been like so dense for high quality games and game announcements. It could surprise us. So I'm actually going to be in attendance at what's it called?
Opening Night Live. You don't even know, you don't even know the name. That's how like low tier it is, right?
Well, I only think of it as ONL. So I was like, what does the O stand for again? Yeah. So Opening Night Live, I will actually be there for the first time. I've never attended one of these kind of shows, so I'll be intrigued and I'll be working on the night and giving my reactions and that kind of stuff. Rand, maybe I should invest in like a traveling microphone so we can like podcast while I'm on these kind of trips and stuff.
I don't know, because we do the show once a week. It's kind of just if we did it more often, I think that would lose its sort of appeal.
No, I mean like because we're skipping the podcast on Friday because I can't really type my mic there. But maybe I could just get a mic for my laptop and take it with me.
Nah. You might as well just wait till Monday. Yeah. I mean, there's really no difference between doing the show on a Friday or doing the show on a Monday. Unless, like, something big happened, but even then, it's not that big of a deal.
Well, to be fair, I'll probably be working Friday night on all the previews that I'll be doing, so...
Yeah. We'll just okay. do it.
We'll figure it out.
Do it on Monday. Dusty Patterson says, I read The Wheel of Time years ago, and it's my fave. I know this about games, but just want to ask because I'm always waiting for the next Stormlight book now, but what are your favorite book series? Books. Love to talk about books, but we don't talk about books. Yeah, well, he asked. Dusty asked in the super chat, so...
No.
Obviously Wheel of Time,
actually,
my fave.
I've been reading a book lately as well, but I'll let you answer the question
No,
first.
you haven't.
I have. I literally been reading a book.
That's such a lie.
It's not a lie. It's not a lie. I've been reading a book before I go to bed. I've realized it helps me sleep. But go on. Answer his question. I'll tell you what book I've been reading.
I love the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. Stephen King's one of my favorite authors, period, and the Dark Tower is one of my favorite series. Realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb is probably my second favorite after Wheel of Time. There's Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson and Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. Those are the ones that immediately come to mind. Yeah, so like if you want my second favorite, it'd be the Realm of the Elderlings. But there's so many good book series out there, that I haven't either read in a long time or I'm just about to read. There's just so much good stuff. So much good stuff.
Oh.
So what are you reading, Jez? What is this book that you supposedly have?
I am reading the Poetic Edda.
How's that?
You don't know what that is? Oh my god. Well, it's a collection of Viking poems and stories that catalog Odin and Thor and shit. The original, collection of Viking myth. That's what I'm reading.
Hmm.
You
Okay.
sound speechless.
I don't know what to say. So
You like God of War, don't you?
love God of War.
It's all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
The laws from. Never mind.
Never mind.
That's what I'm reading.
We have a member chat here from Jaguar Gaming Network, who's been a member for 33 months, says, love you, dudes. We love you, too. Thank you for being here.
Rock and roll, baby.
Yeah, rock and roll. Let's see here. What else we got? Jones, he says, I will support you if you finally acknowledge your single German fan who listens to you every week. Jones, I see you, bro. And I doubt you're our only German fan who is here listening every week. But I do see you. So anybody else from Germany, put it in chat. I mean, because Jones thinks he's the only one. So we got to disprove him, right? Maybe he is the only one. Shout out to the one and only Sam Tolbert in chat. Always doing great work on Windows Central. What's his latest article, Jazz? Sam, what's Sam been doing lately?
Sam's been working on Baldur's Gate, Starfield things, secret things. A lot of things, bro.
A lot of things. So
Sam's always in the weeds. He wrote a little news post about Baldur's Gate this morning. That Baldur's Gate 3 hit 500,000 concurrent users. It's probably hit 600,000 since we wrote that. So
probably. And the funny thing about that is, where was the marketing for that game?
It's in early access.
Oh yeah, early access, just like YouTube videos and stuff. It's so odd because we talked about it last week, and I don't want to beat a dead horse about it, but there's this weird Starfield. I don't even know if I want to call it hate, concern going around by the usual suspects trying to push the algorithm and things like that, right?
Call it the Concern Club.
The concern. Right. I'm concerned about Starfield. Oh my god, what is going on at Xbox? This is just so distraught. I just don't know what to think, and there's no commercials. There's not a demo at Gamescom.
Huh?
Oh my god.
We're going to get into that.
And it's just, it's weird to see. I guess it's not weird, because you had a tweet about how if Starfield was multi-platform, and if like Bethesda wasn't acquired by Xbox, that the sentiment around Starfield would be completely different.
Yeah, I mean it would, wouldn't it? Isn't that just a fact? Like there wouldn't be anywhere near as much sort of FUD and hate and drama and just general BS about Starfield if it was multi-platform, because with reference to Baldur's Gate, and I suppose why you brought it up, is ultimately Baldur's Gate had zero traditional marketing whatsoever.
Yeah.
There's no Baldur's Gate billboards. There's no Baldur's Gate buses.
TV. There's no Baldur's Gate TV ads.
No.
There's no Baldur's Gate anything.
I haven't seen a single ad for Baldur's Gate on Reddit or Instagram
There wasn't
Reddit
even
and
any.
Instagram
There wasn't even
show-
any Baldur's Gate reviews either.
No reviews, because the review codes came out like 2 or 3 days before launch. And I said to the PR dude, I was like, we're not gonna have a review up in 3 days for this, right? It's like 100 hours long if you're playing it quickly. You're trying to do everything. You're looking at, God, anywhere like 300 hours maybe. I don't know. It's a vast, huge game, D&D inspired, and it's been in development for 6 years. The game is just huge. And if you factor in save scumming as well, of which I'm going to be doing a lot, you're looking at a lot of game there. I don't know how I'm ever going to finish Persona 5 with this.
You're never going to finish. You just need to accept that you're not going to finish Persona 5. And I gave you a whole year to do it. Well, I mean,
Dude,
it's getting close. We get
I'm
closer and
gonna
closer.
finish it, don't worry.
You know?
Don't worry, bro. I'm gonna finish it, bro. Don't worry. But yeah, it kind of does blow the arguments out of the water about Starfield.
Hell, most of every time I ever saw Baldur's Gate mentioned was always in reference to the Series S.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I knew Baldur's Gate would be a good game
my fault.
because Larian's a great developer, right?
Yes, they are.
And it's been in early access for a while, and it did get a lot of press for being PlayStation console exclusive, and then people dug into the reasons why, and it was like, well, we're having problems with the Series S or whatever. And like outside of that, it was the only time people really were talking about Baldur's Gate. It didn't have a lot of games now don't have the traditional marketing cycle that games had in the early Xbox One or late 360 gen. Baldur's Gate had nothing, and it's like the second highest.
They haven't done any influencer marketing either.
Yeah.
So all the influencers playing on Twitch right now, that's all organic, word of mouth. And they're all sharing the clips because the game has full frontal nudity, and they're all shocked about it. And they're all getting demonetized.
Does it have a penis slider?
Yes.
What?
Well, not a slider, but it has a bunch of penises.
Jeez.
You can choose from.
You can just all right.
It's a hardcore. It's an adult game. It's an adult game. Adult themes. Very Dragon Age-y. Well, obviously, but Dragon Age was a Baldur's Gate-y. So like Dragon Age kind of like was a successor to Baldur's Gate, because a lot of the team from Black Isle went to work at BioWare, and Dragon Age was kind of like the spiritual successor to Baldur's Gate. And now Baldur's Gate 3 is kind of like almost, I feel, like a spiritual successor to Dragon Age, because it's giving me that vibes, man. Like the blood splatter in the cutscenes after you fought things. It's like, oh my god, this is literally Dragon Age, and I'm here for it. But anyway, I'm going off on tangent right now. But yeah, you're right. It is funny comparing the two. Maybe I'll write an article about that and laugh about it. But to that end, Rand, I've been speaking to people at Microsoft about Starfield and people at Bethesda,
right?
And they said the pre-orders are tracking extremely well.
Okay,
the game's tracking well, so.
I mean, the game was.
It's just the Concern Club, and this is with the game being on Game Pass. So, I think Microsoft are feeling very confident at the moment. But yeah, Concern Club.
I mean, it's just the way it is right now. You don't need to do long marketing cycles for stuff. Would you like? I think some people look at Starfield and what Microsoft, because even I had in one of my friends' Discords, there was even a discussion about how like Starfield's been non-existent for marketing. And they were having this discussion about it. So it's even reached my friend group, and they're talking about it. And I'm just like, because his argument was that it shows that Microsoft isn't confident in the game, right? Like, and I was kind of like, does that really show that? Didn't they just show 45 minutes of the game a month and a half ago? Wasn't everybody saying how confident they were then? But suddenly, because you're a month out from the release of the game, and there isn't YouTube ads, or there isn't a billboard, or at least yet, and how there's not a demo, suddenly it's like, oh, they're not confident in it. It's like, I don't necessarily agree with that. We live in different times. I think I mentioned on the last show that how much marketing do you need to do for a game that's going to be free to 30 some odd million people on day one?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, granted, like you should come out there and market that the game's available. Hey, it's out. September 1st, September 6th, whatever it is. Game Pass has this stuff. Like, I think what Xbox fans want is they want to feel like Xbox is on top of it. And they want to feel like Xbox is raring to go, right? A lot of people were disappointed that there wasn't... They look at like what the companies used to do for their big releases, right? Where you have like spread in magazines, you'd have TV commercials, you'd have billboards, you'd have a custom console, and they don't see that stuff, like especially the custom console, right? You don't see a custom console for Starfield, which I do think is a miss, right? I think if you did one for Halo Infinite, I think it's a miss. But because you don't have those things, it makes it seem like either the game is not as big as we thought, or that Microsoft isn't behind it as we thought they would be. But I don't really think that traditional sort of stuff they used to do work anymore. Like we mentioned, Baldur's Gate, no marketing, out of nowhere,
it's not necessary.
500,000 concurrent users, probably one of the highest rated games of the year, and it just, for most people, it just showed up one day to be able to buy. And we already know, like, the pre-order numbers are very strong for Starfield on Steam, so I mean, don't be surprised when that game comes out and is over 1 million concurrent users. I don't know. I always kind of look at some of this stuff from certain groups, and I'm just like, do you really care about Starfield? Do you really even care about Xbox? Or is this one of these things where you're just like, you just grab onto as a way to drag things down, right? I do think Xbox could do a better job, like, marketing Game Pass in general, because I don't.
The thing, like,
because I don't, because
Game Pass that needs the marketing. It's not Starfield.
Yeah, so I don't know. I find all this just kind of funny. Like, now their big concern is like there's no demo, and it's like the game is literally playable 5 days later. The game's out 5 days later. What do you need a demo for at Gamescom? Why would you want even the developers to section off a demo for the game for that specific event where the game's going to be available 5 days later? And even when you think about it, I don't think Starfield's the type of game that even essentially demos very well. You get down in this crowded theater, and you have them just do a main mission at the very beginning, but the whole point of that game is to go wherever you want and do whatever you want, and you're not going to be able to experience that in, a small 15, 20-minute demo. So what's the point? Yeah. You'd rather have the developers out there, finishing the game, getting rid of all the bugs that they possibly can do, rather than having somebody and a bunch of people at the studio make a demo for an event that really doesn't matter when the game's going to be out 5 days later. I know some people on the internet thrive on FUD. They thrive on negativity, especially with X, pushing negativity and essentially paying people for negativity now. Keep that in mind. Is like when you see that blue check mark, Jez, just keep in mind that some of these people are trying to farm engagement because they want to get you to click on it. They want to get you to reply. They want to get you to retweet so they can make money. You got to keep that in mind. It's kind of like clickbait on YouTube titles. I get accused of clickbaiting my YouTube titles all the time, and I do. I'll be the first one to admit it. I play the YouTube game sometimes. Sometimes I clickbait really hard on my videos, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes they're more dramatic. I tend not to do it on the podcast, though. But YouTube kind of is the way. It's like unless you're Mr. Beast, and even he does it sometimes, you need to at least somehow present a video that people want to click on, and you need to give it a very attractive thumbnail and a very, very attractive sounding title so you get people to click. And now that's transferred over to X, where, now people say the most ridiculous things to get people upset, so they go and they reply, so they essentially can get their $10 or whatever,
Yeah, well, I don't think a lot of people have been accepted into that program, but they're probably working towards it, because you need a certain level of engagement before you can be even accepted to get money from your tweets. I think it's all fake. I don't think they're going to accept many people into that program. But anyway, yeah, you're completely right. Like, I don't think a game like Starfield demos that well. Like, do you want devs working on a vertical slice of the game that works as a demo when the game's coming out in 4 days. Like it's silly, you know. The whole narrative is silly, and then Baldur's Gate just came and blew it out of the water anyway. So yeah, I'm just gonna sidestep all that BS, and I'm ready to review it, man. I'm gonna rock that review, bro. I'm gonna write 10,000 words for that review. No one's gonna read it, but hey, it'll be the best Starfield review on the planet.
People will read it, bro. What are you talking about?
10,000 words? I don't know about that. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Let's see. We have a comment here from JV Smooth who says Baldur's Gate has Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. That's why people will be hyped. Bro, Baldur's Gate 2 came out in 2000. What are you talking about? Baldur's Gate 1 came out even way before that. Most people, there's a whole group of people that weren't even born when Baldur's Gate 2 released in 2000. What do you mean they have the hype of those two games? Yeah, for people that are probably my age of their 40s. But I mean, it's not like there's been a Baldur's Gate game in any significant amount of time.
No. There's been no Baldur's Gate for this amount of time, and you have to expect the vast majority of people are completely new to the franchise. I'm new to the franchise, never played Baldur's Gate before. I played Larian games before, but I've never finished any of them because never have time. But like Divinity Original Sin 1, Sin 2, they were both really great games, both of which I never fully finished. But like, it's not like Baldur's Gate 3 is such a massive leap above the original Divinity Original Sin. They share the same engine, the same sort of DNA. Like Divinity was always a riff on Dungeons and Dragons 2. So yeah, Larian does have its fans and its established fan base and stuff. But you can't say that a ton of this isn't just the fact the game is raw quality. It's just got all these viral moments as well, which are kind of helping the game reach a bigger audience too on the back of that. It's just a special game, and there's no BS either. There's no battle passes, there's no microtransactions, there's no caveats. There's no caveats in the game. It's pure classic video game. And God, I hope EA and Take-Two and all these other publishers who've been sort of letting their classic franchises go down the shitter to chase trends. I really hope they look at this and think twice before keeping up that energy, because you know we literally had an interview with EA this week. I believe it was like 2 days ago, 3 days ago, where they interviewed EA to discuss Battlefield 2042, which is one of my biggest disappointments in recent memory as a Battlefield player. You know, I'm Battlefield first, Call of Duty second. I've been like that since the 360 days, right? But Battlefield 2042 was garbage. It was terrible, man. It was so bad. And in that interview, they basically blame the fans. They say, oh, yeah, they say that like, the reason Battlefield 2042 didn't do so well is because fans didn't understand the specialist system we were going for. And it's like, bro, they understood it. They didn't want it. Nobody wanted that. And that's why they backtracked on it really hard. And that says to me they haven't learned anything. The only reason they put the specialist system in the game was an excuse to sell character classes like Call of Duty and have skins and bring some of those hero shooter elements. They were trend chasing. They were literally trend chasing. Rather than enhance what they had, you know, they went off trend chasing. And that's the opposite of what Larian has done. Larian hasn't trend chased. They've made CRPG, which is, you know, effectively, which is what they're good at. But they just took what they had, their unique stuff, made it better, and made it better, and made it better. Iterated on it. Why can't other studios do that? They mistake poor quality for people not being interested anymore, you know? And it really pisses me off. It really pisses me off. You think EA would learn this shit? They killed Dead Space by adding co-op and microtransactions. Nobody wanted that stuff in a horror game. Or not, at least not in an atmospheric horror game like Dead Space. They tried to make it Gears of War, you know, because they saw Gears of War and they were like, oh, we could reach a bigger audience if it wasn't so scary. Boom, dead franchise, shuttered studio. Man, it just bugs me, bro. Bugs me, bro.
But now Dead Space is back, though.
Yeah, with a remake of the original that has no extra bullshit in it.
Well, because it doesn't need it.
Well, let's see if people thank EA for that when they bring out Dead Space 2 remake and they've added co-op to it or something, or a Nicki Minaj skin or something. I don't know.
A Nicki Minaj skin?
Yeah, and you see that Call of Duty?
Yeah, yeah.
You can play as Nicki Minaj now.
Yeah, I saw that stuff. We have a super chat here from
You love her.
Skyo762. Glad to catch the show live. Jez, did you or anyone from Windows Central get invited to the Armored Core 6 gameplay event?
Yes, and I wrote a preview that nobody read. So
Yeah,
that's the answer to that question.
you also talked about it last week on the show.
Yeah, I did. Armored Core 6 is really good. Go and find my preview if you're actually interested in my opinion of it. But it's really good. It's super reactive. It's modernized. You know, again, this is another studio that iterates on what they have rather than trend chasing. Instead of compromising on difficulty to appeal to a wider audience, they iterated on what they had, and then you got an Elden Ring. You know, and they're sort of doing the same thing with Armored Core. Like Armored Core 6, it follows the series like conventions. It follows like it still has the mission based structure from classic Armored Core games and stuff like that. It does bring in some modern elements. Like you can now do like a hard lock, which will move your which will control the camera and the look position of your mech. Like before, you used to have to aim your mech and turn it manually and look up and down manually if you go back far enough. But so they have modernized some aspects of it, but they still bring across some of that traditional DNA. So there's like the soft lock system, which is more similar to how it used to be. Still got all that depth, customizing your mechs. Still got all the, using the right mech for the job kind of thing, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a special game. I'm kind of worried that it'll get drowned out because there's a lot of stuff launching around it and on top of it, and I think like maybe some more. I think FromSoft players will play it and they'll love it. They'll get the sort of what they're looking for, the combat puzzles, where you have to work out how to do them, work all the tactics out, and sort of bang your head against the boss until you figure it out, kind of thing. It still has that in it, and I think FromSoft players will enjoy it. But I'm kind of worried that it'll get lost in amongst all of the amazing games that have come out recently. Like I'm still playing Remnant 2. I'm going to be playing Armored Core as well, and I'm trying to play Baldur's Gate, and Jesus.
Yeah, Remnant 2 just announced that they sold 1 million copies in like 4 days or whatever it was.
Dude,
so a big step up from the first game.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, honest to God now, is this not one of the best years we've had in gaming
absolutely.
for a long time?
Absolutely. It is 2023. Well, a lot of it has a lot of games were delayed from previous years, right? Because of the pandemic and what it did. So it was pushing stuff. But yeah, like finally it seemed like you go Hogwarts Legacy, the Resident Evil 4 remake, Remnant 2, Baldur's Gate 3, your Starfields, your Zeldas, Spider-Mans, Alan Wake 2. Yeah. I'm sure I'm probably even forgetting some of the other games I played because I'm not looking at my list, but I mean, it honestly just was like stacked. Expansion for Cyberpunk, Mortal Kombat 1, Street Fighter 6, Diablo 4. I mean,
I'm forgetting a lot of the stuff too. There's loads of indie games coming out, like Sea of Stars coming out, which looks really good and was something I wanted to play too. Lies of Peace coming out. I think there's DLC for
Final Fantasy 16.
Final Fantasy 16, which I'm
it's a stacked year, bro.
Right now.
It's a stacked year. It's absolutely stacked. I don't know how I'm going to be able to get through the end of this year because it's like Armored Core and then Starfield and then a whole bunch of other games. And October is absolutely stacked. November strangely seems to be free for whatever reason. So yeah, 2023 killer year. I mean, my backlog's going to grow because I'm sure I won't be able to play everything. And, as for what I'm playing, because, last week I had kind of watched a bunch of TV shows. I finished Barry and I watched Silo, but the one I was really excited for was The Bear. Interested to see if anybody actually took my recommendation and watched The Bear. Let me know in chat if you did.
I didn't.
I know you don't listen to anything I say ever, but I've been playing a game, but I can't talk about it.
Oh.
If you want to know what I'm playing, you can look at my profile because it's on there. It's not hidden. I will say it's not Starfield, but I am playing something that comes out soon. And that is what I've been spending my time on. So,
is it a new Pokemon game?
No, I would never play a new Pokemon game, ever.
That's not very nice.
Yeah, I know. Eduardo says, I just don't understand why Microsoft just doesn't do Game Pass Outdoors, saying hundreds of games from $10.99 a month and a big image of the new exclusive coming next. I don't know. I mean, they're the ones with the high-paying jobs and the majors and stuff, and they know best, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe they don't need to. Maybe they don't want to. See, we got Michael saying that he binged it this week, Rand. Thanks for the recommendation. It's a great show. Awesome. Glad you enjoyed it. Yeah.
You should do a channel, Randall Recommends, bro.
Nah, we ain't going to do that. We have Face23 BKNY in the Super Chat says, since Starfield is on PlayStation, do you think Baldur's Gate 3 will get more sales and support from the PlayStation fan base? Depends if that's a game PlayStation fans want to play. If it is, maybe. I mean, by then the reviews will be out and it'll be a highly rated game, but is it a fan the PlayStation user, is it a game the PlayStation user base is interested in? I don't know. I think I would hope so. It has really good controller controls, and that's how I'm playing it right now. I'm playing it mostly on the Asus ROG Ally, and it knows dynamically if you're using a keyboard or a controller, which is great. It uses the modern Windows APIs for that. So like when I'm playing it, if I tap the screen or use a mouse, it switches to mouse and keyboard mode, which gives you like a sort of a more monitor optimized experience. And if you press the B or something on the Xbox controller, it switches to like a bigger interface that's more optimized for TV. It's really, really good how they've done that. So hopefully it's really good on PlayStation as well. I haven't seen any complaints about it on PlayStation. Well, I mean, because it's not out yet.
It's out in September. I keep forgetting
it's out literally the day Starfield's out. Yeah, I know a lot of look, and it's never
good. That's a good thing.
It's never good for a game to like be delayed or not come to your platform. But if I was Larian, I would have done the same exact thing as they're doing now. Like, and by that I mean Xbox has Starfield. It's their big, huge game for the year. The biggest game for Xbox in God knows how long. And it was coming out like literally right when you were going to release your RPG on Xbox. I know this might be a hot take, but I think not releasing it on Xbox was the correct decision financially and for the game. Because if you imagine a scenario where Starfield's out and Baldur's Gate comes out the same day for Xbox, I think Baldur's Gate gets completely overlooked because here's Starfield, the next huge game from Bethesda, and it's free to everybody on Game Pass, while Baldur's Gate's $60 or whatever. Not a lot of people would have bought it because they would have been perfectly fine and perfectly happy with Starfield, which it's not like Starfield's going to be a 10-hour adventure either, where you can maybe say, well, Starfield's a short game, people will play it and then want to play something else. Like Starfield for a lot of people is going to be hundreds of hours. So if I was Larian, I would have did the same thing. I would have released on PC first, like they did, because that's where your major user base and support's going to come from. And I would have prioritized PlayStation because, it's just the biggest game console platform. And then I'm like, oh, Starfield's coming out? All right, well, we're just going to delay it and work on the Xbox version until we feel like it's ready and Starfield hype has died down, and then we'll release it on Xbox. Maybe next year. Maybe we can do a Game of the Year edition to get people more excited for it, but I would have done the same exact thing. And maybe that's not a hot take, but that's I would have done the same thing.
I'd almost be grateful, obviously I'm playing it on PC right now, and I'm kind of playing it for work, but if I wasn't playing it for work, I'd be grateful that it wasn't launching on top of Starfield because, I don't want to sit there and decide between the two, right? So when it does launch on Xbox, and it's looking like it could be early 2024, maybe it launches in a really nice window where Xbox has a bit of a drought. Maybe they take the Game Pass bag. Maybe it's the
it's funny because Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 are coming to Game Pass or on Game Pass. Or I saw something about it. So, I mean, there was plans. There was like, okay, we got Baldur's Gate 3 coming. We'll use Game Pass as a way to introduce the earlier games to people, put them on Game Pass, so you know the game's coming. At least they had plans on it. But I think it's look. I'm always like, hey, if a game skips your platform, it's not good and whatever. But in this scenario, I think it makes the most sense for them not to release it on Xbox because of Starfield. You know, it would be a different story if it was 2 months before or something, but literally the day of. And then it's good counter programming because you have Starfield on Xbox, nothing on PlayStation. And because of the exclusivity in quotes, now you have PlayStation fans big up in Baldur's Gate simply because it's not on Xbox. A game they probably don't care one iota about is now a console exclusive, so it gets some extra push from the Twitter tards, the X tards. Of like, oh, look at this. This game's better than, like the push and the pull of the console war. It's actually a pretty smart decision when you think about it.
Yeah, I don't think they were necessarily thinking about that stuff. I mean, they're
sure. It probably just happened that way, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been speaking to some of the team members there recently because obviously I caused some controversy when I accused Sony of locking the game down into a timed exclusive because we'd sort of become so used to that. It was just my assumption, right? And I tweeted something about it, and I never blame PlayStation for doing business, but it's just a kind of another one of them. I was more mad at Microsoft for letting it happen, or it seemed that way. And then Larian, I caused controversy for Larian because they were like they completely misunderstood the whole idea of like console wars when I was speaking to them because they don't live in that universe. Obviously they make their games optimized for that stuff, but they're 100% focused on their fan base on PC, which is massive and considerable. And all the console stuff is just like, I'm not saying it's an afterthought for them, but they didn't seem as in tune with the bullshit that we have to deal with on a day-to-day in this ridiculous console war nastiness propagated by certain people, so yeah. I mean, the game's going to do really well for them anyway. I think it'll do well when it comes to Xbox finally too. I think Microsoft's they're going to win a lot of hardcore RPG fans with Starfield and stuff, and Xbox is kind of becoming the RPG box. For a long time it was the shooter box, but I think we'll start calling it the RPG box in years to come. Especially when you've got like exclusives like Wasteland 4, presumably one day, and like similarly to Larian, Wasteland is as well CRPG, and it's gonna have its own it's got its own fan base too, of people who are dedicated to that genre and dedicated to that that franchise. So yeah, hopefully there's a lot of crossover DNA, a lot of opportunities there, but. The discussion that really comes out of all this that is actually worth debating, and we debated it last week, so I'm not going to repeat that, but it's a whole strategy over the Xbox Series S, because that really is what's to blame at the end for this.
You angered a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I'm speaking the truth. Sometimes the truth.
You angered a lot of people, but yeah, we're not going to go beat that dead horse again because nobody wants to hear that, right? So,
truth hurts.
What was I gonna say? I had something to say. Oh yeah, we have Jones95 JB, newest member of the channel. Somebody DM me and it kind of broke my what I wanted to say. And Kyoki514 says, "Hey Randall Weeb and Jezcon, I have anime recommendation for you guys since you both like mature stuff and are gamers. It's called Overlord. Check it out."
Yeah, Overlord's on my list. Yeah, it's on my list. It's one of them. It's on my anime list, which is as bad as my video game backlog, and yeah, so I do know Overlord. My brother really likes Overlord, so that's where I know about it from.
Someone just sent me this thing about Halo Tatanka, and I think it's because Idle Sloth tweeted it.
Oh,
this person, Rebs Gaming, says Project Tatanka, which was previously an upcoming Battle Royale mode for Halo Infinite, seems to have evolved into a separate, bigger game. If this is true, I hope it's a full Halo experience with campaign, multiplayer, and Battle Royale.
It may well be. I have a lot of my information for Tatanka came from the Halo API, because Microsoft was putting a lot of that information public as they were working on Tatanka. A lot of the if you look at the source code or whatever, no, not the source code, but if you look at the API calls and stuff like that, it sort of revealed a lot about what Tatanka was. Like it was talking about like the systems and the lives you could get and the different scoreboard systems, and that sort of inferred a lot about the gameplay. But they have done a pretty good job of locking that down since, to some degree, which is why actually encrypting their APIs, which is something Blizzard does now for World of Warcraft updates, because data miners they'd mine the updates and they'd have all the spoilers in. So now all the spoilers are in encrypted format and stuff, So similarly to Tatanka, like a lot of my information on that has dried up. But if that is true, and obviously there's a lot of 343 employees who are willing to speak because Microsoft laid a lot of them off, in the last year or so. Unfortunately. But with regards to what Tatanka actually is right now, I have no idea. It's anyone's guess. But Rand, I will ask you because you're a fan of the old school Halo, and you're also a fan of Battle Royale, and you also said you wouldn't play Halo unless it became a Battle Royale. Like,
multiplayer.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, I need to see it first off. I mean, it's nice to kind of speculate about it, but I won't know until I see it and I actually get my hands on it. It's one thing to say, hey, we got a Battle Royale coming, but, is Battle Royale in 2023 dated a little bit if you're not Fortnite or... Yeah. I mean, because Warzone 2, I mean, players were down quite a bit, and I even hear Apex Legends ain't doing so hot anymore. So...
Yeah, wasn't that in EA's investor call?
Yeah, so I mean, like, sometimes, people think, like, these things last forever, but they don't. And even in my friend group, like I said, we played it for all this time, but eventually it sort of just became boring. And when you're trying to constantly, you need new content every 3 months, new characters, that can put a stress on a lot of teams because you just run out of ideas. At least with Fortnite, Fortnite can just like literally change the map, do whatever, and then introduce all these culturally relevant characters like Terminator or the dude from Dragon Ball Z, like Alien. Like they can literally just grab everything from pop culture and put it in the game because the game's big enough.
Dude from Dragon Ball Z, really?
Goku, whatever his name is. You get my point. Whereas like you can't do that in Warzone. And they try to in Warzone by here's a character, here's Snoop Dogg, and here's whatever her name is Nicki Minaj, and you can't really do that in Apex Legends. So you run into this problem that you just kind of run out of things to do, and it's like we can't really do Apex Legends 2. So like now I'm kind of thinking like, well, if they're really going to do a battle royale for Halo Infinite or Halo, is it going to be separate? Is it going to be part of Infinite? How big is it going to be? How fleshed out is it? Like I don't know. It's interesting. But it's like, is it too late? Or is it the perfect time? Because if people are falling off the other games, it's the perfect time for Halo to make a resurgence in that category. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it kind of comes back to what you were saying last week. I can't remember what game we were talking about, but we were talking about how sometimes you just need a sequel. Like Overwatch. Everyone said like, oh, this is... I mean, in Overwatch is an extreme example of how not to do it. Because the Overwatch 2 sequel was literally... It wasn't even vaguely a new game. It was just Overwatch 1 with a slightly new coat of paint. But even that, it was barely a new coat of paint either. So that's an extreme example of what not to do when it comes to making sequels. But it's I think they're still trying to figure out how do we handle service games when they do start to hit this point where it's just like, man, we've squeezed all the juice we can out of this. It does feel like Fortnite's the only one that can get away with these restless tie-ins. And speaking of tie-ins, like Overwatch has tried it too now. They had was it One Piece? No, One Punch Man. They had a One Punch Man tie-in with for Overwatch 2, and it was kind of lame. It was basically just like the characters cosplayed as some characters from One Punch Man, which I don't know. it didn't. It didn't work for me, but maybe it worked for the game. I don't know. Be interesting to see where they go with some of that stuff. But Halo's got the same issue, I guess. Like, there's only so many combinations of Spartan skin that can exist. You know, it's almost as if maybe loot boxes were better for the health of service games. I don't know, man. And maybe that's why Fortnite still does well, because Fortnite still has the loot boxes. I've actually seen some.
Do they? I don't think they do. You can just buy what you want. You can just buy what you want.
Do they not have loot boxes still?
I don't think anybody has loot boxes anymore.
Do they not? Fortnite loot box.
I'm pretty sure they got rid of them. You can just buy whatever you want. I mean, some of the skins are tied to the battle pass or whatever, but like for any other stuff, you can just strictly buy it. You don't need to. I
think it still has loot boxes, you know. Well, actually, this is an old article. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, I do see some people on Reddit literally, unironically saying, I kind of miss Overwatch's loot boxes. I don't know. It's another discussion I need to look into a bit more.
Achievement says if Microsoft had acquired ABK before Overwatch 2, would they have let them do it?
That's a good question. You know, it's a really good question. I think they would have done. I think they would have, because it wouldn't have been soon enough to actually make any changes. I think in the short term, they're gonna let Kotick continue to run it, and he'll just do what he does. Kotick, you know, he knows how to make money. You know, for all his shortcomings, the guy knows how to make money, and that's why, you know, he's managed to stay in his job as long as he has. Because shareholders are like, well, we could have a different CEO, or we could make a lot of money. So. Yeah, I don't know. I think they would have still done Overwatch 2. I mean, Microsoft's they're not gonna Halo Infinite was the title suggests that it's supposed to be infinite, right? But we all know now that Halo Infinite is not going to be infinite. There's gonna be a sequel. There's gonna be a complete reimagining of what Halo as a service game looks like, based on the failures of Halo Infinite. They're not going to call it Halo Infinite 2. It's going to be called Halo something else completely. And it's going to have a new service. They're going to move on from this eventually, I would say. So I don't think Microsoft is completely against this idea of doing sequels to service games anyway. There's no evidence to suggest that. Like, I would not be surprised if one day there's a Sea of Thieves 2, for example, that has a new engine, that can do more stuff, you know. Engines like another limiter, you know. It's sometimes like, there's not a lot you can do to expand a game without reworking the engine. And like we all heard, like one of the big criticisms of Halo Infinite, all the rumored criticisms, was the engine wasn't very good for the devs or whatever. Don't know how true that is, not a dev. And I've always heard mixed things about the engine from people who worked on it. So it's hard to know for sure what the truth is with regards to Halo's engine and whether or not it's good enough for the job. But, you know, there are also extreme examples to the contrary. Like, look at World of Warcraft. Same engine for 23 years I think now, since the beta launched. You know, they've obviously extended the engine, but goddamn, they have got a lot of juice out of that engine. So I don't know. There's no definitive solution to any of this. But at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is making a good game. It's making a good game, and I think there comes a point where, yeah, you just can't keep milking the same thing. You have to give some people something fresh and new. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There's no one-size-fits-all formula, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should talk about Xbox going big at Gamescom. They talk about how it's their biggest event ever at Gamescom, or at least have their biggest booth. So they have exclusive theater presentations for Starfield, Forza Motorsport, and Aura History Untold, which we believe is now coming in 2024. So I would imagine, so that means if you wanted to see Starfield or Forza being played, you can just head over to the booth and watch it, right?
Yes.
I wonder, Forza Motorsport seems interesting because that seems like, with Gamescom being in Europe and being in Germany specifically, I don't know. Like, it seemed like maybe a Forza demo would have been nice to have there, but maybe they're still, because like Europe is sim country for racers, and like, what is there a bigger sim racing game than Forza Motorsport? But maybe they're just also, hey, we're working down to the wire. We don't got anybody to kind of like section off a demo or something. We're just like, hey, you can watch it in the theater and you can play it on October 10th.
I think that's some of the issues these days. Is making a demo slice is a lot of work compared to what it used to be. Like back in the day, making a demo slice probably a lot easier, probably a lot cheaper. Making a demo slice of an in-development game, which probably doesn't have all of its textures, lighting, or whatever implemented until the later stage of development, it kind of creates an issue, I think. So, yeah, I think it's not a shocker that some of these games are focusing on finishing themselves up rather than making a demo slice for 3 or 4 days at an event like this. But, yeah, I don't know.
Well, because they say they have 30 titles in the booth awaiting eager players spread over 150 gaming stations. Towerborn from Stoic is going to be playable for the first time ever. Be very interesting. I wonder if that means
I'm gonna play it, bro.
I wonder if that means it's because you always look at like what is 2024 going. How is that going to shake out? Like where the games are going to be positioned. Which game is coming first? I've always kind of thought Hellblade 2 would be early in 2024 and Avowed would be more towards the back end of it, but that's just my personal speculation. I don't know. Now, we know Towerborn's coming in 2024, and you're kind of like, where would you slot that in? And the fact that it's going to be playable here, Hellblade's not playable, Avowed's not playable. I don't even think either of them are really even there. There's some like things you can do with Hellblade. I guess there's like maybe like an ink station where you can get tattooed or something, but the game's not playable. It makes me seem like Towerborn's closer to release than some of the other stuff in 2024.
Yeah, I think we always said that Towerborn would be early 2024, right?
Yeah, well, and then Phil talked about a kind of funny interview where basically that they're right there on the cusp of releasing a big game every quarter. So hey, you're looking at it now. Sure, you got Starfield in September and you got Forza in October. Okay, well, that next quarter, January, February, March, does Towerborn kind of fall under that category of big game? I'm not really sure. But hey, they're saying that they're kind of in line with doing that. So it'd be interesting to see if, maybe they have Towerborn early and then maybe like Hellblade in March, and who knows how the rest of the year shapes out. We do know, or at least we've heard, there's rumors going around that Quake 2 is going to be announced at QuakeCon, Jez.
Yeah. Have you ever played Quake 2?
If I did, I haven't played in a long time, so my memory is a bit fuzzy. I might have dabbled in Quake 2. The one Quake game I know I played was Quake 4. I played it on the 360, and I want to say that came with Quake 2, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody in chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Quake 4 on the 360 came with Quake 2. So maybe I played Quake 2. I don't know if I did though. Maybe I played it back when it on PC. But I was never really a Quake guy. I was always a Doom guy. Quake never really did much for me. And if it is remaking like Quake as their next big title, I'd be very interested in seeing what they do with that. As somebody who wasn't really into Quake like he was Doom. Like Doom was like, I love Doom. I played all the Dooms. Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal are killer. But I don't know much about Quake, to be honest with you, outside of just playing Quake 4. So
it's more about dimension hopping, I think. It's less about demons specifically and more old gods, Cthulhu kind of stuff. But that's one of the things Quake, I suppose, would have to do in a modern reimagining is maybe further do a bit more to differentiate itself, I guess. But it's pretty damn good at that kind of stuff. They modernized Doom and brought its sort of classic formula kicking and screaming into the modern era. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier with Larian. Instead of chasing trends, they just doubled down on what they did best, and it really worked. They did that with Doom as well. So Doom was successful doing that too. I think I suppose they tried a little bit to chase trends by having the weird microtransaction kind of multiplayer layer in there, I guess. But I don't think under Microsoft they'd necessarily be doing that kind of stuff. I think Microsoft is going to let them play to their strengths a little bit more rather than force some of that stuff into it. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong.
Right. Euromal says I'm correct. It did come with Quake 4 and had 8 achievements for 0 gamer score total. I do remember that now. It's one of those reasons, like, why does it have 0 gamer score? If it came out now, it would have 1,000. But I mean, it'll have 1,000 because Quake 2 is going to be, seems like it's going to release. And I remember the conversations we had when Quake 1 came out. I'd be like, do you keep it exclusive or do you put it everywhere? And they eventually decided to put it everywhere. And it does seem like Quake 2 is also going to be everywhere. Even though we're kind of coming off of the trial where I think it was like Tim Stewart, the CFO, was surprised when Phil made the decision to make everything from Bethesda exclusive in like fall of 2021. But I mean, here we are in 2023. Quake 2's multi-platform. I don't know if that really kind of says anything about that whole email chain between, Phil and the CFO, and even the rumored Oblivion remake, if it is real. Is that something that you keep exclusive, or is that something you put everywhere, Jez?
I think it's if it's on PlayStation, you probably put it everywhere, right? I suppose it's going to inform what Microsoft's strategy is, I think, moving forward. If they truly have given up on console sales, putting everything everywhere kind of makes the most sense, I would say, at this point. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Could we see Starfield on PlayStation in a year because of that? It kind of if they are putting Quake and stuff everywhere, and if Quake 4 is going to be everywhere,
Quake 2.
Why not Quake? Well, no, but I mean the next Quake, sorry, whatever they call it, the Quake Reboot. They do put that everywhere. Why aren't you putting Starfield everywhere? Kind of doesn't make sense to me. Why keep Starfield exclusive, but not all the other Bethesda games?
I mean, I would imagine the actual Quake remake or whatever new title from it would be is exclusive. I mean, we saw
that.
Yeah, but when we saw them already change the contract for Indiana Jones from multiplat to exclusive.
That is true.
So,
but as times changed, I mean, one of the things they said to the CMA recently was, the game industry moves fast and circumstances and our strategy has changed, and maybe the strategy changes. We're not doing exclusives ever again because we're giving up on console.
Yeah, I don't agree with you. I think I think there's a huge stretch between making Quake 2 remastered, a multiplat, and a brand new like Quake or brand new Indiana Jones. I don't think they're really comparable. That's a big difference. And you're stretching here. You're stretching, bro. I'll push back on this. No.
Yeah, I'm stretching. I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit here. But it's kind of like, they've got a strange, I don't know. They're kind of, I'm trying to think of a word that isn't demonetizable, but they're kind of cock teasing people by putting Quake 2 onto PlayStation, but they're not the Quake remaster. Isn't that kind of mean?
No, fuck them.
Fuck
them. Who cares? You're not entitled to every single game. Fuck them. Whatever.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, I was just playing devil's advocate, man. Jesus.
Because to me,
don't murder me, bro.
I don't know. I don't really see a lot of value in keeping Quake 2 remastered as an exclusive. Because honestly, I don't really think any people even care. It's not like that's going to get Game Pass subs or whatever. So it's okay. You hire a small team to make it. You put it everywhere. And then if you actually are doing a huge like production of a Quake remake down the road, and it's like the next game from id, the follow-up to Doom Eternal, nah, man, that you keep to yourself. I'm sorry, like to me, it's like whatever. Quake's multi-platform, the old ones, whatever. I mean, they even talked about legacy titles. It could fall under that category of like a legacy title, which is why like the Oblivion remake thing. It's kind of like, okay, if that is real, I could see it being multi-platform because it is Oblivion. Depending on how it looked, right? They did the Skyrim anniversary thing, and I heard there's even deliberations about keeping that exclusive, but they did it everywhere, whatever. Oblivion, but that's not Starfield, and that's not Elder Scrolls 6, right? These are old-ass games. Unless, like, Oblivion Remake looks like a stunner and is is incredible, where you're like, all right, no, we want this, but it's Quake 2, bruh. Like, who cares?
It's Quake 2, bruh.
I mean, seriously.
Okay.
I could see a thing where you're like, all right, we're gonna put out these old Quake games, put them everywhere, and kind of build up interest and awareness in the Quake brand, quote unquote. And then when we actually do the next gen Quake, the only place you can play it is Xbox and PC, and then maybe push some of those people that enjoyed the other ones over. I mean, maybe that's a little bit far-fetched, but I ain't losing no sleep over Quake 2 being multi-platform. I know you're playing devil's advocate, but that is a huge stretch to kind of link
I'm not losing any
Quake
sleep.
2 to Starfield.
I guess, but it's also just odd. I don't know. It's inconsistent. It's inconsistent in the way Sony wouldn't do it. Sony wouldn't put Quake 2 on Xbox if the shoe was on the other foot, if the foot was on the other leg, if the leg was on the other pelvis, whatever. They wouldn't do it. Is my point. Why does Xbox do it? Why does Xbox do it? Is it because they don't have enough gamers on their system to make it profitable? Like, why even bother doing it at all? You know, if that's the case, if it's just like, oh, it's just little old Quake 2, who cares? Why do it at all then, bro?
I mean, there's a point,
questions, bro.
There is a point. Why even bother doing? I mean, I get that. Why even bother bringing back Quake or Quake 2? They did bring back.
It's cool. It adds value to Game Pass. But my point is, why bring it back for PlayStation if you're not going to just do everything? Why give the crumbs? Does it market Xbox? Do the crumbs market Xbox? Is it a Machiavellian play, Rand, where they're like, hey, if you like Quake 2, we got Quake Reboot for you as well in a few years. Is it Machiavellian, Rand? Is Phil evil? Is this all a ploy? Is this all a plan? Is this a FOMO generating exercise?
Well, you know, it could be.
Come on, Rand.
It could just be contractual, because the Quake Remastered came out in 2021 after Xbox acquired them, and those contracts could have already been made with the studios that were making it, where it was like, we're making it multi-platform, and they could have already had the contract already, you know, signed for Quake 2, where it was like, hey, we're coming out afterwards. Where it's like,
are you telling me that this could all not be a conspiracy, and it could be banal legal bullshit?
But I mean, it could be.
But that's not fun.
Well, I mean, it could be banal legal stuff. We don't know. I'm just saying.
I want a conspiracy, bro.
I mean, granted, you want everything to be a conspiracy. You want there to be more to it than just simple, like, contracts are signed and we had to sort of do it. But I mean, people in chat are saying it's good PR. But I don't even think people care about Quake like that. Like Quake 2, it's like Quake 1. People maybe play it for a day and then they stop playing it. You know.
Damn.
You know, Sam Tolbert in chat says, we honestly don't know because Sony's not in a position to do something like that. Sony doesn't have any old multi-plat games to remaster. He ain't wrong, Jez.
That's a good point.
He ain't wrong.
That's a good point. Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Sony's games were never multi-platform because they wouldn't do that kind of thing. They don't give a crap about. They ain't all kumbaya. They only just started supporting PC out of the vague possibility of siphoning off some extra sales.
Yeah. And Ratchet and Clank came on there and nobody cared.
Yeah,
which isn't a surprise because nobody really cares about Ratchet and Clank in general.
Rand.
I mean, it has brand recognition, but it's literally the same game it's been since the PS2, and I like Ratchet and Clank, but nothing has changed of it outside of the shiny graphics. And I'm sorry, 2-year late ports. Nobody's gonna care, and nobody really cared that much when the game originally came out, anyways. Whether it's from the lack of PS5s at the time or what have you. But this is what happens when you wait 2 years for something. Most people want to play it day one. This is why it's better to just do stuff day one on PC, because you're just going to get way more people playing it and, you know, liking it and talking about it, and you're just going to constantly it feeds into itself, right? It's why, like, I'm not too concerned mostly about the Starfield marketing situation, We have a month left to go. I'm sure there'll be another trailer, a launch trailer. There might be some more television ads or YouTube ads. But when you look at the idea of Starfield, right, how many people are literally going to wake up that day, whether it's the 6th, or pay $30 for early access or $100, and then immediately you start seeing reports, Starfield has 700,000 concurrent users. People just repeating it, regurgitating that on X, on Twitter, about how huge Starfield is, right? And then your entire X being like Twitter. And then your entire friends list is just Starfield. And people are talking about the game on social media, and people are just sharing how much they're enjoying it and loving it. And it gets that initial push because of the reviews. Hopefully they're good, crossing fingers. And then the early access comes, and people are just constantly talking about it, tweeting about it, sharing screenshots and clips. And then the full release comes out, and everybody else can play it. And it kind of creates its own viral marketing, one that you don't really have to spend any money on, right? That's why I'm not too, at this point, like, I look at it, I'm like, whatever. I mean, I remember when PlayStation guys, when God of War Ragnarok was about to come out, they were like, where's God of War Ragnarok? Sony didn't start talking about that game until like 3 months before it came out. They did like one trailer 3 months before it came out, and then that was pretty much it. And then, sure, they did a console bundle. They didn't even do like a custom console. But some of these big games, they don't need to be marketed. It's a different age, right? Jodicus says, wouldn't that just make Phil's original statement about Bethesda games with the legacy will be kept multi-platform? New games don't have legacy? Potentially, but I don't know. I don't know if Quake 2 was even on PlayStation. To be honest with you, I'm not sure it was. I'm not even sure if Quake was. I think they're just small enough games where it's just like, who cares?
Yeah.
I don't know. One Bad Mother says, Rand, the term you're looking for is a halo effect. Success in one area bleeds to others. Why Sony loses momentum by the time their games hit PC.
Yes. He's right. The halo effect.
Oh, Lamarcus says, Rand, Starfield isn't going to be that big. No one is talking about Starfield. I forgot it was coming out. Nah, why are you capping, bro? Why are you lying? Come on. Nobody's going to be talking about Starfield when it's come out, and you forgot it was coming out? That's a load of bullshit if I've ever heard it. Come on now.
Yeah, you only need to look at Google Trends, which is public data about search terms, to see that Starfield's trending pretty damn hard right now in Google. So yeah, the idea that nobody's talking about it is just total PlayStation bubble BS. That game's going to be massive. And if we talk about like fan bases and loyal followings, few studios have that like Todd Howard's Bethesda. So.
We have a super chat here from Jones95JB. Why isn't there a Halo 3 remake? That's a good question. Why isn't there one? They didn't do one. They did Halo 2 for the 10-year anniversary. Did they do it for 10 years? Yes, because it came with Master Chief Collection in 2014. They never did one for Halo 3, which you could argue, well, which is the bigger Halo game. You should have done one in 2017, but they didn't.
Nobody cares about Halo.
Shut up, Jez. Nobody cares about you. JD Gamer, Xbox is slowly growing both its content delivery and its console market share worldwide, so when they reach a certain point, around 1.5 to 1, about or less, then most all games are exclusive. Yeah, well, I mean, like, they're actually getting further away from 1.5. It's more like almost 3 to 1 at this point.
Yeah.
Leaky Hump says, you saw Shroud Grounded, Summit 1G on Halo Infinite. I did see that Shroud said he really liked Grounded. Which, you know, right. I'm not surprised. Grounded is a really great game. Is Summit back on Halo? I guess that's good for the game. I mean, a lot of people say that Halo's in a great place right now. You know?
Play it then.
Nah, I'm not interested in playing it right now.
What are you playing?
I told you I'm playing a game I can't talk about.
What are you interested in playing right now? Other than that?
I mean, I want to play Starfield, and I want to play Mortal Kombat, and I want to play Alan Wake 2, and I want to play, just those are, I want to play Cyberpunk, because I haven't played Cyberpunk yet, and you told me to wait until the expansion is out.
That's true.
But yeah, back to Gamescom. They also have 25 titles from the third-party partners. They have Stalker 2 is going to be playable, Jez. The world debut. Jed. The world debut.
Fun story.
Uh-huh.
My mom was actually going to call me Jed.
Really?
Yeah, that was one of the prospective names was Jed. I've never met anyone called Jed in my life, so I'm kind of glad she didn't call me that.
Well, we all know your real name's Jeremy, though. It's not Jez.
Is it, though?
So, Stalker 2, first time playable, world debut. I think that's pretty good sign, considering all the things they've been through. That maybe, I don't know, I have this feeling it's early next year.
Yeah, I think so, too.
But Stalker's going to be there. Payday 3 is going to be there, which is launching on Game Pass in September, like end of September. Jasant, which was at the Xbox Game Showcase, is going to be there. Armored Core 6 will be there. Party Animals, which is another game coming to Game Pass in September. Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty. Under the Waves from Quantic Dream. And Persona 5 Tactica, and much more. And they have some other things going on there, but they talked about how this is their biggest booth ever. Hey, do you know who's not there? Oh, that's right, PlayStation's not there. But I don't see. I don't see any concern.
Does that mean Spider-Man's in trouble?
Does that mean that? Because I don't see any concern that PlayStation's not at Gamescom and that Spider-Man 2 is not playable. Shock.
Rand, you better write that video and also do a thumbnail with a shocked face on it.
A shock, Jim Ryan crying face.
Yeah. Like, is Spider-Man in trouble?
Spider-Man in
Gamescom
trouble?
No show.
PlayStation not at Gamescom. Spider-Man 2 not playable. Should we be concerned? Can we just do it how other people do it?
Yeah, do it, man. I want to watch that video.
Yeah, well, I don't really care that much about it. Because it doesn't mean anything. That's the whole point. It doesn't mean shit. Oh my god. The usual. Because I remember I saw a tweet. It was like, huge news. Starfield not playable at Gamescom. Release 5 days later. Will it be delayed? Is it in trouble? Shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. I swear to God, some people, man. Some people. Gotta get them likes and retweets. Gotta make that money. Gotta somehow twist everything into the most negative thing possible. It's I don't know how they do it. It's very sad.
It'd be exhausting. I'd find that exhausting, personally. When I have to write negative articles about anything, I find it exhausting.
Yeah.
Oh well, but people click on that shit, bro. If it's exhausting, people click on it.
Yeah. People do click
this
on
week
it.
About I wrote an article this week, Rand, about Xbox cloud gaming having queues this week. I wrote an article about.
Well, we talked a little bit about that last week, but have you found out any more information about it?
Not really. Like, as pertains to what the hell's going on, I haven't really got any information really about it. The reasons is Fortnite and Grand Theft Auto and FIFA 23. They're all on xCloud right now, and especially in the case of Fortnite, for mobile gamers who prefer playing on mobile for whatever reason, your only choice right now is xCloud or Samsung Galaxy App Store, or sideloading the game, which not a lot of people want to do, I suppose, because Google blocked it, didn't they, back in the day? So it's with that in mind that Fortnite on xCloud is doing pretty well right now, and it's probably contributing to those darned queues. But the article on that over the past week, it did really well, and I sure as hell know it's not cloud gamers reading that article. It's people looking for anything negative about Xbox who are reading that article. So, yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah. We have JD Gamer also saying, what console market share do you predict Xbox to have in late 2024 and then late 2025 after a year or two of Xbox's plan to have consistent AAA big game deliveries? Do you think their share will change? Here's the thing. It's tough to know if their share will change because we don't know how their stock will either improve or stay the same. We do know that Sony's stock is plentiful and the console market share is widening towards PlayStation in a way that I don't think like Xbox is really happy with. Could that change? I mean, Xbox could put out all the best AAA games, but if they don't make the console to go along with it, then the market share is not going to move much, right?
It's all about stock. It's all about stock levels.
So, I don't know. I mean, Phil said the Series X stock they fixed it at E3. Does it look like it's fixed? I mean, maybe it is. But you look at like NPD for June that they just put out, and Xbox was in third place as usual. I don't know. Maybe there's a demand problem. I don't know, but it's just one of those things. I would imagine if it stayed this this might be sad to say, but if it stayed at the current share it has right now, that's probably a win for Xbox. Because if it stays at it currently is right now, that means they haven't fallen further behind, which means that PlayStation hasn't really gone on to sell more, and they're selling the same.
Yeah.
But you would like to see it increase, but we just don't know how much Microsoft is really going to push the consoles or their plans for it. Maybe they do a Series X Slim, and then boom, the Series X's are out in full force, and Microsoft has the game library to back it up, and it's cheaper for them to make, so they can make more of them instead of being like, oh, this is too expensive, we're losing money, so we're going to kind of save costs by putting some of these in the cloud. Maybe that's what needs to happen, is they need to kind of make that, the whole process cheaper for themselves. And if that happens, and you have a slew of great games and Call of Duty marketing on Game Pass, maybe you do see the Xbox console share start to rise. That would be a really good scenario for them, But I don't think you're ever going to beat PlayStation worldwide in console sales, ever. I said this before the gen began, and I'll just keep on saying it. Like, Xbox just does not have the brand recognition worldwide that PlayStation does, or Nintendo does, frankly. They're strong in English-speaking countries, very strong in the US, strong in the UK, but most of Europe, they're kind of just seen as an afterthought. They're definitely seen as basically non-existent in most Asian countries, especially Japan. So those are things that take a long time to overcome and address. So while the US and the UK are very receptive, and Xbox can claw back market share there, it's going to be a lot more difficult in overseas in Europe. I mean, even when the PlayStation was at its worst, the PlayStation 3, when they were just, nobody liked them, right? I think they outsold Xbox in Europe. Like, Xbox dominated the PS3 in the US and the UK, and that's where almost all their lead came from. But the PS3 really stayed still huge in Spain and Germany and France and like continental Europe. That's one of the reasons Jim Ryan is the head of PlayStation, because when you look down on it, Europe has always been there for PlayStation, and he's been head of PlayStation Europe for a long time. So when it came to the battle between Jim Ryan versus Sean Layden, one of the reasons he was picked was because he headed up the division in the country that basically PlayStation dominated in. It was one of the reasons why he won that battle over Sean Layden. So
yes.
We just need to see everything plays out. I feel like if you deliver great games consistently, it'll change. But it's only going to change if Microsoft has more stock available. That's something we just can't predict.
Yep, indeed.
I mean, we all thought, since the beginning of the year, we all thought Xbox would flood the market with consoles for Starfield. And, Starfield's out in a month. And it doesn't really seem like they are, at least yet. But yeah, we'll find out eventually.
This is true.
We have a super chat here. I don't Japanese letters here. He says, I like my Xbox in Japan. Well, I'm glad that you do, and I'm sure there are a lot of people in Japan who like it as well. JD Gamer says, will the Xbox Series XX outsell the 360 in Japan? How far is it behind the 360 right now? I know it just recently passed the Xbox in Japan, the OG. Maybe? I don't know. I don't know what the disparity is right now. I'd have to look. Face says BG3 has 500,000 concurrent users on Steam. Yeah, it's doing incredible. But, Face, where was the marketing for that game? How did it reach so many users? Did anybody even know that game existed? I didn't see any billboards. I didn't see any TV trailers. How did anybody know Beyond Good and Evil? How did anybody know Baldur's Gate 3 was even releasing? Is that possible that you can have a great launch and not have to really market too crazily? It's crazy. It's crazy how things like that happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Gamescom. It'd be interesting to see if anything else. I want to know what your conversations are going to be like when you come back, because I'm sure you're going to have a lot to talk about. I'm sure some of your conversations will be off the record and private or whatever, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Some of them will, but most of the meetings are embargoed previews and interviews, hopefully. So I should have a lot of cool stuff to talk about. I don't know if I can talk about what I'm going to be seeing there, but a lot of the games on Xbox Wire that are at the show, I'm going to be seeing. Hopefully getting gameplay footage of. Maybe we can put some of that unique gameplay footage on the show as well, hopefully. I'm going to be trying to play all the games at the booth. I basically got I'm just only going to do Xbox stuff at the Gamescom, I think, because otherwise I have to walk around a lot and nobody wants to do that. I am seeing Sega as well. Maybe Capcom as well. But we'll see. It's going to be a good show.
Yeah. Transformers, Jez. We need to talk about it because we said in the last show that, hey, Hasbro was like, you lost their game, bro. And we want people to play it on Game Pass. And then Lulu came out and was like, the hell we did. We have the code. It's still here. And then Hasbro to come out and apologize for it. What's going on with that? How is there this large of a miscommunication between a license holder and the licensee, where the license holder is like, we want people to play the Transformers game, but Activision, I guess, lost it, and Activision's like, Did Hasbro call them? He's like, hey, would you like to license out the Transformers games to resell? And Activision's response to them was, we lost it, bro. Sorry. I mean, think about it,
bro.
I mean, think about it. What happened behind the scenes to the point where Hasbro thought the games were lost, and Activision, Lulu saying that no, they never were lost or whatever?
Well, it was quite interesting because one of the things that I saw was I can't remember his name. It's Chris String, I think. Chris String from GameIndustry.biz. He quote tweeted Lulu, and he said a bit snarkily, because Lulu posted a screenshot of some website that I reported on that stuff, and said, these headlines are wrong. We haven't lost the source code to the Transformers games at all. And then Chris String quoted it and said, hey, maybe the headlines wouldn't have been there if when we reached out for comment, you didn't say we have nothing to add at this time. So I thought that was quite funny. But he was kind of calling out Activision for not wanting to offer a statement until the story really blew up, right? So maybe there is something going on behind the scenes. Maybe it's with regards to money, something like that. I don't know. But it does seem like Hasbro's interested in doing it. Activision's perhaps less interested in doing it. Maybe Microsoft's interested in doing it because they just want content for Game Pass.
Dude, Activision says less interested in it. I'm telling you right now, Activision has zero interest in it. They have less than zero.
That's less interest.
They have no interest in doing Transformers.
Well, I don't know why. Because Transformers is a big IP. There's not really any competition in the space for a good Transformers game. Let's face it right now. So I think Activision's I think they're missing a trick by not doing it, I want to say. And there's a lot of Transformers fans. It's a big franchise. A lot of hardcore fans going all the way back to the 80s. I really like Transformers as well. I can't say I'm a hardcore fan since Michael Bay blew up the franchise, literally, for me. I'm not a fan of the Bay movies, but I really love G1. Well, not so much the filler episodes, but you know what I mean. The episodes that were good. Of which there were some really real bangers in there. But I'm just kind of I'm kind of the opinion that Transformers should translate really well to a video game. It should translate really well to open world, vehicular based combat game. You know, like just anything, like a soft mech game. But also you can turn into a car. It just makes perfect sense to be a video game. Hell, you could even sell. Here you go, Activision. Here's a pitch. You could sell Transformers as DLC. There you go, a microtransaction for you. Boom, right there. So I want to believe that there must be a brain somewhere within Activision that's kind of like, you know what? Actually, Transformers is actually a pretty big franchise. We could relicense these games to start exploring whether or not there is some potential interest or not in reviving these games and this franchise. But I want to expect the Hasbro's probably being like, yeah, our franchise is really great, and look, we just did the Barbie movie. That means this franchise is worth $15 billion.
Did you see like Hasbro's like pulling out like gonna do like a Barbie sort of multiverse or whatever? Like they're gonna have like a Polly Pocket movie. Like seriously, Hollywood's gonna learn all the long lessons from the whole Barbenheimer thing. I already seen start to like talk up Saw Patrol because Saw 10 and Paw Patrol movie are coming out the same day, so the studios have already dubbed it. Hey, are you getting your tickets for Saw Patrol? It's like no. See, the thing is, the studios didn't create that marketing. That marketing was created organically on Twitter and elsewhere with the whole Barbenheimer stuff. It wasn't manufactured by the studios, and like so like they're gonna learn all the wrong lessons from the whole Barbie Oppenheimer phenomenon, right? Of course they are. So I'm same probably happened for games or whatever. We do have a super chat here from Supernova who says, is the new Ori game rumor still exist? Moon Studio acquisition when? Moon Studio acquisition never. Microsoft distanced themselves from that studio real quick when all those what's the right word?
Pokemon
allegations came out about Moon and the people at that studio. They were like backed away quickly. I don't know. See, I love Ori so much. I think it's Xbox's best games from last gen easily. And part of me feels you don't need another one. Like the second game ended beautifully. Sure, you could make another one because of how it literally ended, but you don't need to. Those two games were fantastic. They're masterpieces. You don't need to follow it up. But I know it's video games, sequels, that type of stuff. It has brand value. But it's like, Moon was perfect for that. And it's like, were you really going to bring back Ori a third time? And then have somebody else make it who doesn't really maybe have the passion or the love for it as Moon did? I'm not sure that's the best decision. Because for me, Jez,
I think it could work.
No, because the quality and caliber of the Ori games are so high that if it comes in underneath those in any way, then it's already like a failure, in my opinion. Like, so
we've got an example right now of a team that had nothing to do with the original game, who've come through and made a 90 Metacritic version of it.
Well, right now, yeah, but it probably will be. No, you're right, but I mean, there's been enough time.
Right, it is.
You're talking like
on Metacritic.
You're talking 23 years though between Baldur's Gate games, right? And
so fine, wait 20 years to do Ori 3.
I'm just saying, I don't know. Like, Ori has to be a certain type of game. It has to have a certain level of quality, and that certain level of quality, that's tough to hit. And what do you do with the next Ori that you haven't already done in the first two games? I don't know. I feel like it ended beautifully. You don't have to do another one. But
there's a lot of things I would have done differently with Ori. I would have there are things you can do, and it comes back to what I was saying there. You're about Baldur's Gate is double down on what it does well and just make it bigger and bigger and bigger. For example, I'm not a huge fan of the map design in Ori. I don't think it's people call it a Metroidvania, but I think it's quite linear. I don't think it's as much a Metroidvania as I would like it to be. Certainly nowhere near on the same scale as Hollow Knight, for example. So my pitch would be do Ori 3 and make it as big as Hollow Knight, and then I will feel more immersed in the game.
I mean, maybe there you go. Maybe you get Team Cherry to make it, but then
Team Cherry, there you go.
But then they're busy working on Silksong, and it would take them 10 years to make Ori 3. So,
well, there you go. Like you said earlier about Baldur's Gate, there was 20 years between the other two.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be a rumor right now, though, is what I'm saying.
Give Team Cherry 10 years to make Ori 3. Boom! Good. Yeah. Has it really been 10 years since Hollow Knight? Really?
I don't know. When did Hollow Knight come out? I don't know. It hasn't been 10 years since Hollow Knight.
It can't have been 10 years, I was going to say.
I'm just saying, you know. Let me,
I was young and youthful 10 years ago.
Hollow Knight. Let's see when Hollow Knight came out. I love Hollow Knight.
Another game that I'm halfway
No, Hollow Knight came out, looks like it says February 2017? Yes, 2017 it came out.
Still longer than I expected.
February 2017 on PC, Nintendo Switch on June 12th, 2018, and then Xbox and PlayStation in September. So
sick.
I mean, it's been like already 6 years essentially. That's a long time.
Rand, why is time flying, bro? Like July just disappeared, like evaporated. It was like one day, 1 second it was July 1st, and then it was August.
I know.
What the hell's going on, bro?
I know.
1 second I was at E3, and then it was August, and I'm going to Gamescom. What the hell?
1 second ABK deal's getting blocked, the next second Jez is doing a hot chip challenge because it isn't.
By the way, speaking of the hot chip challenge,
we have a super chat that actually referenced that. Me Puppet says, I thought Jess is supposed to do the hot chip. No, it was just Jez. Well, no, unless you meant Jess isn't Jez. But Jez, Gaz, and Hargeet did the hot chip challenge. It's on Jez's channel. It's available to everybody. I think you put it live on Wednesday, right? For everybody can see it.
Yes, the hot chip challenge is live on my YouTube channel, which is at jez.c. I keep changing the handle because I can't decide what handle I want for YouTube. But the handle right now is jez.c. So yeah, go and find it over there. And favorite it and watch it later. The hot chip challenge, I should add a timestamp probably, but the hot chip challenge itself begins at around
28 minutes. 28 minutes in.
Yeah, okay, something like that.
So if you want, I mean, it was an hour and a half show. I thought it was great. I was there, Jez was there, Gaz was there, Cody Eastwood was there, Hargeet was there, and King David showed up. And we just had a blast watching Jez, Gaz, and Hargeet essentially eat it, right? And make sure you at least watch it when they start. Give it 10 minutes because Hargeet looks like a soldier. Like nothing phases him until it phased him, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, I was really worried about Hargeet because that delayed reaction was interesting.
But then I heard people were saying that Hargeet cheated. Is this true?
Oh yeah,
is there some controversy about this?
Yeah, so someone actually DM'd me and noticed that Hargeet actually took a mouthful of ice cream before eating the chip.
What?
Yes.
He ruined the sanctity of the hot chip challenge?
I actually, I'm half wondering if he did it out of habit, just because the ice cream was there. Because he didn't try and hide it or anything, but nobody noticed. But people have started noticing now, Rand, and they're wondering, does this void Hargeet's attempt?
I don't know. Does it void him?
I don't know.
I just got an email for someone who wanted me to do business with them on TikTok. They want to be able to take. So I get tons of emails a day about stuff, right? And this person that just emailed me wants to do business with me on TikTok. He wants me to hire him so he can do 30 clips from the podcast each week. Put it on TikTok, and then so we can then also stream live to TikTok. I get so many of these things. They're like, you could be growing your stuff by doing X, Y, and Z, and so many like offers from companies to, talk about products and stuff like that, which I just usually delete. But this one was funny because it's like, and we could get, and after a certain amount of time, we can get you to stream live. And I'm thinking to myself, could you imagine me and Jez doing the NPC meme on Xbox 2? Spicy, no,
Spicy. I'd be really good. I'm sorry, I would be really good.
You would be really good at it.
I would if I was attractive.
What would your character be if you were gonna do an NPC meme?
What would my character be? I don't know. I could be like, I don't know. Maybe a wasteland, a Fallout character, Wastelander maybe. Because then I wouldn't need to shower and stuff. And then I could be ugly. So that'd work really well. I could like have all gory makeup and stuff. Or I could be a zombie. I could be a zombie NPC, like from Resident Evil. That'd be sick.
Yeah, but zombies don't talk.
Dude. Yeah, they do.
No,
they growl.
Yeah, but I mean, how are you supposed to thank people for giving you spices and roses and stuff?
Well, that's the beauty of it. That's the unique selling point. It's like,
yeah, I think you need to do something better than that.
Nah, bro, I'm quitting the podcast. This is my new future. I'm gonna be.
Well, this guy wants us to hire him so he can clip everything and then put it on our TikTok, and then yeah.
I actually registered our handle on TikTok, but then I forgot the password, and now I don't. And the password reset thing doesn't work. The form for resetting the password doesn't work. So we have a TikTok account, and it's never going to be used because it's blocked.
Well, okay. We have Angry Hippie saying Activision has no interest because they don't want to take High Moon off of Call of Duty. Yeah, that could be some truth to that
too. Yeah.
Maybe I could be my character would be Bland Althor, and I could just eat unseasoned chicken or something.
You could be I don't know, a librarian or something with all your books.
Yeah, I could. Risk it for the biscuits. Shout out to you, brother. He says Toys for Bob would make a great Ori 3. Maybe they could. Maybe they could.
Maybe.
But I thought everybody wants Toys for Bob to make Banjo, for the Banjo Bros, for the 10 Banjo Bros in chat. If you're a Banjo Bro right now, let me know in chat. Who's a Banjo Bro in chat? I think there's maybe like 15 total in the world. I know Paris is one of them. Paris is constantly talking about how they need to bring back Banjo. But I
kind of feel like, do you remember our buddy Special Nick? How
could I forget my buddy Special Nick?
Yeah, Special Nick, our favorite Australian,
our favorite host of an Xbox podcast, who is not an Xbox fan, who is really just a Nintendo fan. But yes,
but is he even a Nintendo fan? Because my point was going to be, he was standing for like months for GoldenEye, and then when it came out, he didn't play it, bro. He
didn't finish it. Yeah, Nick does and says a lot of stuff. But he is up 2-0 on you, though, bro. You got to be careful.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to be careful.
True. That is true. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I think my point is I don't know if a lot of these Banjo Bros would actually play a new Banjo, dude.
I mean, but there are some few Banjo Bros there. We got, Sean LeBree's a Banjo Bro. Scourge is a Banjo Bro. I guess Russell, he's a Banjo Bro. Pullo 83 is a Banjo Bro. Jeremy G is a Banjo Bro. I mean, there's some Banjo Bros in the chat. But I thought the whole thing was Xbox fans wanted Toys for Bob to make a new Banjo game, not a new Ori. You only make one game at a time, because I don't think they're a big enough studio where you can do multiple. They just released a game, didn't they? Crash Bash? That nobody played? Nobody cares about? That just literally died?
God,
I am so surprised Activision let them make that game. To me, that would just scream like, who wants a 4v4 Crash multiplayer brawler? Nobody.
Yeah, I feel quite bad about that game. Because there was like, I discovered that Crash Bandicoot has a really passionate fan base when I leaked that game. And, well, the game had already leaked, but this is what I discovered, right? The game had already leaked. I didn't know that it leaked already. But there was a whole community of YouTubers that were following leaks about this game. I had no idea. I'd never heard of the game and all that kind of stuff. And when I sort of posted some updated information, it was the first information they'd heard about it for years. And I think like the game had basically been put on hold during the pandemic because Activision kind of went all hands on deck for Call of Duty that year, with people working from home and stuff like that. So like Crash, whatever it was, Crash Bash is what it called. I can't even remember what it's called. It got put on hold, and then they went back to it after the pandemic sort of ended. Do you remember the pandemic? God, it feels like so long ago now.
It sure does.
They went back to it, but it just looks like it just hasn't hit at all, you know. And I kind of just wonder if Activision was just like, yeah, we'll let this go out to die, and then get them working on Call of Duty again or something. I don't know. But they were teasing, or well, people took it as a tease. They were posting pictures of Crash Bandicoot on Twitter recently. So a lot of people think maybe they'll go back to working on a more traditional Crash game. But again, Rand, this comes back to what I was saying about Larian, where they didn't double down on what they did well, and instead made a dumb multiplayer game that nobody asked for. And now the multiplayer game is dead. And, you know, maybe Activision will be like, oh, well, that means the Crash franchise is stupid. Rather than take the real lesson from it, which the real lesson should be, Crash should be a 3D platformer. Not a 4v4 multiplayer game. Any sane person would take that lesson from that game, but apparently not AAA publishers, oftentimes. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a dude with a microphone. I don't know nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing. Nada. Zip.
They should make a Crash and Spyro game and a Banjo game. Just throw them all in the same game. Wouldn't that be something?
See, Rand, I don't know if that's not within the theme of what I was suggesting, though, Rand.
Yeah, true. JD Gamer says, if you're an Xbox, what single acquisition, dev or publisher, would have made the largest effect on console sales share, assuming the games were made exclusive?
What did you say?
If you were Xbox, what single acquisition, dev or publisher, would have made the largest effect on console sales share, assuming the games were made exclusive?
From Software.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, you could say ABK. If you say ABK, if you say Call of Duty was going to be exclusive every year, that would be something. I mean, then you got to go to the biggest franchises that people care about, and the biggest one is Call of Duty, and the second biggest one is Grand Theft Auto. So
these are casual fans, man. I don't know. Well, not Grand Theft Auto. I think Grand Theft Auto would, but I don't think Call of Duty would make people swap console. Because I don't think people care that much. They just carry on playing the old Call of Duty, I think. Whereas, like, your From Software players, they are passionate and dedicated, and they would switch platform, I think, for those games. I don't think Call of Duty players would.
I don't know. I mean, either them or Take-Two for Grand Theft Auto. But then Grand Theft Auto releases... But Grand Theft Auto only releases, like, once a decade at this point.
But when that decade rolls around,
I mean, yeah, true. But it, like, it used to be different. It was Grand Theft Auto 3, and then a year later it was Vice City, and then like 2 years later it was San Andreas, and then you had 4, right? And then you had 5, all sort of within the console generation. Where if it was 360 and you had Grand Theft Auto 4 and 5 exclusive, absolutely. But it's been 11 years, or it's going to be 11 years, and if Grand Theft Auto 6, yeah, I would say if Grand Theft Auto 6 was exclusive, that would be. Well, also you would get the Red Dead games, I suppose. So yeah, Take-Two is probably the right choice for that.
Do you think they'll do a Red Dead 3?
I mean, there's a rumor that they're doing a Red Dead remaster, right? It's supposed to be coming out this year.
Or a Red Dead 3, though.
Would you do a replay Red Dead?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, has it been enough time? I mean, I love Red Dead Redemption too. So
I actually haven't finished Red Dead 2 yet.
Of course. It's just easier for you to like tell me that you actually finished something, because I just assume you don't.
I finished Red Dead 1 at least.
Have you finished?
That's before I was a writer.
Have you finished? Have you finished Remnant 2? Have you beat it yet?
No, I'm playing it right now. Actually.
Yeah.
I haven't beat it though. I'm grinding. This is a really cathartic game to play when I'm podcasting, because you don't really have to think. You know, if you want to grind.
I thought you were gonna put Baldur's Gate as an option, because Remnant 2 won the gameplay poll, and I told Jez that, and I was like, Remnant 2 won, and he's like, just use the same footage. I'm like, oh, you're not even gonna record new footage for the Patreons? Jez was just like, use the old footage.
I'm playing Baldur's Gate.
I know, and you're
for
playing
work
Baldur's
right
Gate,
now.
but I'm surprised you didn't put Baldur's Gate as an option because that probably
I
would have won,
don't-
and you were playing
Yeah,
it.
I don't have a good setup for capturing PC games right
Oh,
now.
Well, there you
So
go.
yeah, that's the problem. I need a new PC, man. I need a new PC. Rand, will you buy me a PC with your millions?
I wish I had millions, bro. I got no millions.
The issue, my processor's not good enough to play a PC game and capture it at the same time. At least not. I don't know.
The only thing I got,
I need a new PC.
the only thing I got millions of right now is I have 1.3 million views the last 30 days. Holla!
Woo! Damn, Rand's rich.
That's like my biggest numbers since 2020.
Damn.
Yeah, just racking in those views, bruh.
Randall rich bitch.
I wish, but no, I'm poor. Amando says, make a game where Crash has to team up with the giant Spyro. Call it Crash Scalebound. Oh, God. Here we go. I thought we'd get through a podcast without a mention of Scalebound, and there it is. Somehow, some way, it always comes up in every single show. John says, what's up with Replaced? It missed its deadline. Yeah, it's supposed to be this year, and it doesn't seem like it's at the Xbox Gamescom booth, so I
What's
don't
coming out this
know.
year?
Replaced. They said Replaced is supposed to be 2023.
I don't know what Replaced is.
It's that kind of really cool looking pixel art, cyberpunky kind of game that they showed off in 2021. They reiterated that it was 2023 earlier this year, but I mean, we're in August. It's not like Gamescom, I don't think. So it sort of seems like it's not going to make this year.
Do you remember the last night?
Yes. It looks similar to that game.
Rip.
Shout out to JoJo for the super chat, but he didn't leave a message. And Big Afroman says, if Microsoft bought Take-Two, a company at that scale would surely be bound to attract regulators again, right? So do you guys think they'll go smaller?
They would be scale-bound.
They would be
to attract more regulators.
I do think Take-Two would obviously attract regulators. You're big enough. I think they're the biggest publisher, biggest next independent publisher. So I think they have EA might be bigger market valuation or market cap. But yeah, they would definitely cause because I can imagine the Sony coming out there and being like, we can't live without Grand Theft Auto. Right? And how big Grand Theft Auto is and how much money it brings in through microtransactions and stuff. So yeah, I could see that giving regulators pause for sure. Something smaller, like, I don't know. I sort of feel like no matter who or what Microsoft buys on a publisher scale is going to get regulatory pressure simply because big tech, bad. And Microsoft is viewed as big tech. Bad. So even if Microsoft went after someone like Sega or Square, which we talked about last week, about how everybody thought Microsoft was teasing a Square acquisition or a Sega acquisition because of the Hedgehog stuff.
Hedgehog.
But yeah, I think no matter what, you're going to get regulators' attention, especially after this, the ABK stuff, with how all that went down. You're going to draw their attention no matter what. Some will draw it, more than others. I mean, because I can see, like, you buy Square, what are regulators going to say about it? Not much. What can they say, really? It was just ABK had a certain kind of quality to it with especially some opposition. But like Take-Two and EA would definitely probably bring up a lot of concerns from other companies. So
I think they'd have less issue buying Square because of the trade deal they're trying to do with Japan. One of the issues they've had is that, or they've said that Japan favors its own companies over American companies, which, why wouldn't they? But from a regulatory standpoint, if you're doing a trade deal and the regulators look to favor Japanese companies over American ones, that's not a great look for a trade deal, right? So, like, politically, they could be like, yeah, buy Square Enix as a way of, like, tipping the cap to the idea that they are going to honor these trade deals or whatever. So I really think the next acquisition out of Microsoft will be a Japanese team, probably Capcom, Square Enix, or Sega. Maybe not Sega because of Sonic and stuff. But Square Enix is probably the one that could get away with the easiest, which is going to be much to the chagrin of fans, I think. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Let's see what else we have here. Let me take a look at the chat for a second.
You do that, Rand. You look at that chat.
JD Gamer says Platinum Games and Scalebound reveal at TGS. Probably not. Scalebound brought up again.
A lot of Scalebound this episode.
Yeah, a lot of Scalebound. If they ever do bring back Scalebound, it would be at their showcase. It wouldn't be at a one-off at TGS, I don't think.
Here's a question I want to ask you, Rand.
Okay.
Since we're having a bit of a more free-flow discussion right now. Hideki Kamia recently said in an interview that Japan should be proud of the JRPG
I
moniker.
did say that. Because there was some pushback about how the JRPG moniker was bad, right? At some point?
Yeah, so apparently in the 90s, 90s game journalists, and I didn't know this, and I certainly didn't feel like this when I was in the 90s, because I suppose I didn't really read magazines that much. I used to steal the demo discs off them from W.H. Smith's, but I never actually bought the magazines. Apparently they used JRPG as a pejorative, and they were just kind of like, oh yeah, it's a Japanese RPG, it's not as good as Western RPGs or whatever. But I didn't know it was used in a derogatory manner. I always thought it was just like a way to describe basically anime style JRPGs that have turn-based combat. It's just follow the Final Fantasy Dragon Quest kind of formula, right? That's what I thought it meant.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a derogatory thing.
Yeah, I never knew either.
And that's why certain people want them to drop the J in front of the RPG.
Yeah, but it's the thing is people search for that term. So like we've got an article on Windows Central, best JRPGs for Xbox, and that gets thousands of hits a week. So people search for that term without a derogatory mindset about it. I literally thought it was just a genre, but I don't know. Slight tangent there because Hideki Kamia, of course.
Did he block you on Twitter?
On Scalebound, yes,
was.
And he blocked me on Twitter.
He blocked you. You deserve to be blocked on Twitter.
Whoa!
For how many people you block on Twitter, you deserve to be blocked. You know how many people DM me asking me to ask you to unblock them, or how I'll see a thread where someone will be like, "Jez blocked me," and then all the comments be like, "I don't even talk to the guy, and he blocked me too." And he's like, "Yeah, bro, I said I disagreed with him, and he blocked me. Jez just blocks everybody." It's funny. How many people do you have blocked on Twitter right now?
I don't know. I can't even load the list anymore. It's just laggy.
Jeez,
it's a lot of people. But yeah, I use Twitter a lot, and I got 100,000 followers, and I like to keep my comments free of BS. It's not just for my sake; it's for other people.
Dude, you had 110,000.8 right now. I remember when you hit 60. Wasn't that long ago when you hit 60,000?
Yeah, I don't know why people follow. I think I've just hit this point where it's like Twitter's just recommending me to new users or something. Because a lot of the people who follow me are just like random word, bunch of numbers, no profile picture. So I think it's gotten to the point where, when you sign up to Twitter and it says who to follow, I think it's gotten to the point where it's people that I'm just getting recommended, even though I should not be recommended under any circumstances. But hey, it makes me look important, I guess.
Yeah, that 110,000. How much money are you getting from Twitter now, bro? You're a Twitter millionaire yet?
Zero, bro.
Zero? Come on.
No, I've not been approved. I signed up. I think I signed up for it, but apparently, I know a few people who've been signed up to Twitter monetization for over 6 months. So I think it's just made up. I don't think it's a real thing. I think it's just a PR thing. But hey, we'll find out. If if I ever do get the Twitter monetization thing, I'm going to use the money to upgrade my PC because I think my RTX 2070 is getting a little bit long in the tooth. Don't you think you should upgrade your PC, Rand? From your 1060 or something?
I have a 1080. I'm definitely going to be upgrading it this year. I'm going all the way up to a 5090, bro.
5090? You mean that graphics card that doesn't exist?
I mean, it'll exist by the time the end of this year when it comes out, bro. Yeah. I'll spend $2,000 just on that graphics card I won't even use. No, I'll probably get like a 3080. Maybe if I'm feeling spicy, I'll get a 4090, but just to render videos.
4090? Just to render videos?
Just to render videos. Just get an extra GPU power. Get probably an AMD Ryzen, top of the line CPU.
Don't do that.
Well, Ryzens are better for rendering videos than Intel is, so. But that's it. It's not like I'm not going to use it for gaming. So it sits over in the corner, man.
Fair enough.
And then the other side of the room, I got my beautiful OLED. That's not, sit down in a nice chair, just play games instead of sitting here at a table doing a podcast with the computer monitor. It's not the same.
Yeah, man. And you need to start building up a background, bro, so you can get on camera.
Yeah, that one time we'll be on camera for the show, and then people demand us not to be on camera, so we don't got to do it anymore. Maybe we'll
people always want me on camera.
We'll do it on camera for Ultimate, and that's it.
Damn, Rand's changing the deal, guys.
No, I said I'd be on camera, and I will, but I didn't say how many times I'd be on camera. Anyways, Ralph Wiggum, member for 9 months, says Rand confirmed Scalebound at the Xbox Showcase 2023. I did not. Sloth, where you at? Have a great weekend, guys. I mean, Nick was the one that said Scalebound's coming back, not me. And, the fact that he's constantly one-upping Jez, maybe Nick's the true Xbox insider all along. But we shall see. There was I don't know what to think of this, Jez. We talked about EA, but they also mentioned during their financial call that they're going to be bringing Jedi Survivor, a game which doesn't run very well on current-gen consoles, to last-gen. That they are going to port Jedi Survivor to the PS4 and the Xbox One. And I don't know how to feel about this. One, because I'm already done with the game. But two, it's like, why though? I'm just wondering why. What's the point at this point? Or do they feel like somehow they could get it ready by the holidays, and you can have another push of a Star Wars game for the holidays on the systems that people don't have access to? So it's like, hey, you couldn't get the Star Wars game, but now you can. I mean, anybody who's played it knows the game doesn't run well in performance mode. So I can't imagine it running well on last-gen consoles. It certainly ain't going to run at like 4K resolution or whatever, and a lock 30, because it sort of barely does currently on better hardware. But then I saw somebody, I forget who it was, made an interesting point. I think it was Benji Sales, that maybe they're porting to the PS4 and Xbox One because then they'll just port it to the Switch 2. Because I don't know if you saw we got some reports about Switch 2 stuff. Oh my God, we're talking about Nintendo in the podcast run. Did you see
Nintendo?
Did you see about these VGC reports about? Well, first off, how do you feel about Jedi Survivor coming to last gen?
Don't care.
Don't care. Okay. Do you think that's weird at all?
I mean, for PS4, no. There's a lot of PS4 gamers still there, but for Xbox One, maybe. I don't think they're gonna sell many units on Xbox One, but presuming that it's an easy, quick port to do, it's probably low hanging fruit, a bit of cash for them. It is really weird though that they still think it's worth targeting those platforms, especially the Xbox One. But I guess it's the thing with EA where it's like we can't bring it to PlayStation or not Xbox One because it'll look bad with our relationship with Microsoft or whatever. And obviously EA is a big supporter of Microsoft, and you got EA Play tied to Game Pass and stuff like that. So yeah, but personally, I don't care. Like the Xbox One's done to me. It's dead to me. I don't think about it anymore. I don't write about it. I moved on, bro.
Yeah, I wonder if it is a play for the Switch too, because the VGC had a report out that some development partners have Switch 2 hardware. Seems to be targeting a late 2024 release, which I was like, well, I thought they just copy everything from the Switch and have it release in March, but apparently it's releasing end of next year. They're talking about using like an LCD screen and not like an OLED, But the thing that a lot of people are kind of focusing on is backwards compatibility is unclear. And that some partners of the Switch don't want backwards compatibility because they're concerned if you can carry over your library, your Nintendo Switch library, that you'll just play your old Nintendo Switch games and won't buy new ones.
Yeah. I mean, that would be hilarious par for the course when it comes to Nintendo. I think it's absolutely consumer hostile to do that. But this is Nintendo, and they're not known for being particularly consumer friendly. So yeah, I'm honestly, just from speaking for me, I am pretty much planning to not invest in the Nintendo ecosystem anymore if they do that. Because I don't invest in it that much anyway. But if they're saying to me that, after like what they did with the 3DS and shutting that down and shutting that store down and stuff like that, kind of makes me look at my Nintendo Switch and just be like, because I am like 100% on digital on the Nintendo Switch. I haven't got any cartridges or whatever. So the idea that they don't respect the digital libraries that people have just makes me not want to invest in the company and just makes me feel like they're not forward facing like Microsoft is. So I'll probably just stick with PC and Xbox moving forward if that's going to be their little game. So yeah, that's my little rant about that. But I think it's probably true because Nintendo has never really done backwards compatibility. They've given us some limited backwards compatibility via Nintendo Online, which is an okay solution, halfway kind of house. But it pales in comparison to just firing up an emulator and downloading a ROM. Piracy is way easier, more convenient. Even when you don't factor in price, it's some better experience. It's just a way better experience. So I don't know. I don't like Nintendo's business practices. I think they get away with murder. The kind of things that Xbox, Microsoft, or PlayStation just would not get away with under any circumstances. So yeah, they're just uninspiring to me. Uninspiring company, bro. I don't care. I don't care if Zelda's a second coming of Christ. They are an uninspiring, consumer hostile kind of company. I don't like them. Don't like them, Rand.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I can't see them not doing back compat. At least, I mean, you could maybe say give them an excuse for going from Wii U to Switch, but if it's just like the Switch 2, I don't know how they could really justify that to consumers and fans being like, no, actually, we're not doing it. Especially, with them going digital with the Switch 1 and being like, no, you have to rebuy everything again. So we're launching with Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, next gen version, and instead of it being a free update, you got to spend $60 with us or $70 with us. I know, like Nintendo probably feels people would be okay with that, but I don't know if they would this time. I don't know. You look at Xbox and PlayStation and what they've done with back compat, with how Xbox has improved back compat with stuff like FPS boost and the Hochi method while you're making games like 4K. I don't know if like them doing a Switch 2 and not having it back compat would sit well with people. That could be like one of those self owns that we talk about, where the PS3, how it basically was too expensive and the company was so arrogant. It was their own mistake that turned people against them. And if they did this for Switch 2, I could see that being a self-own where it was nothing somebody else did. It was your own choice because you were so arrogant to believe that it wouldn't affect you. That's why Nintendo can't be that stupid. Despite what like some third-party publishers or developers would say about, oh, well, if you have this, then you wouldn't play this new game released. It's like, I don't think so. Do people really think like that? I don't think they do. It's like, hey, I'm not going to get this new Star Wars game because I can play the old Star Wars game or whatever else. I mean, I don't think people really think like that, but it's Nintendo, so you don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't think they're that dumb. And if they
some people are calling me out in chat because I said Nintendo doesn't typically do backwards compatibility, but I mean, yeah, okay. They did the GameCube to Wii backwards compatibility, and they did do. I mean, the Wii U was kind of an upgrade of the Wii and stuff like that. But like none of the digital stuff carried over from the Wii to the Nintendo Switch. Like, and there was no real reason for that. They just re-released a bunch of stuff. Like there was no reason they couldn't have done a backwards compatibility program for the Wii between Nintendo Switch, stuff like that. And I just not a fan.
Yeah, BG's in here saying, "Didn't you all have an episode already this week, or I'm bugging?" We did an episode on Monday because I overslept on Friday. So the show on Monday was basically Friday's delayed show, and well, today's Friday. So that is why we are doing the show, even though there really isn't too much to really talk about. But yeah, show's got to keep on going. So you aren't the only one who's probably like, wait, didn't they already do a show this week? And it's like, you aren't wrong, we did. But yeah, what else is there to really talk about? I mean, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel of our podcast is talking about Nintendo stuff, right? I just thought the backwards compatibility stuff was interesting. Because it's like they're unsure, and it's like, I could see that blowing up in Nintendo's face if they don't do it. Like, they have to do it. They're not that dumb. It would be. Yeah, it would have. They would have to. That would be a major fuck up if they don't do that. Because I could see people being not standing.
It'd be
for it
so weird because they didn't use proprietary formats for the cards and stuff like that. So it was as if they designed it with forwards compatibility in mind, The fact that the cartridges are just SD cards, basically, at the end of the day. Like, why bother doing that if you weren't thinking about, like, future-proofing your system against, a popular format, And, like, my belief that backwards compatibility was just going to be a given now made me go all digital for Nintendo. More the fool me, right? If it doesn't happen. There were rumors that the PS5 wasn't going to be backwards compatible for a while. Thank God they weren't true.
Yeah,
because it would have been a similar kind of situation.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't talk about it for a while. So some people were like, "Oh, this means that it's not happening," And then Sony eventually was like, "Oh, actually, yeah, it is happening." So that's good. I suppose, like, if I was Nintendo, I'd want to get out ahead of this, maybe. But they haven't even announced a console yet. It probably will be backwards compatible. I think it'd be wild if it wasn't, but hey, we'll see. We'll find out.
Yeah, I wonder when they announce it. There were some rumors that they were going to announce it at Gamescom, but I can't see them announcing it this far in advance. If it's really,
they do it at their own event, surely, not Gamescom.
I don't know. There was a rumor about it. I don't believe it, because if you're not releasing it till the end of next year, then you're not announcing it essentially a year in advance. You announce it sometime next year. We talked a little bit about Battlefield 2042 earlier, and I totally forgot about this, but DICE said that Game Pass was a huge moment for Battlefield 2042.
In reviving it or whatever?
Well, yeah, so senior producer Ryan MacArthur told Games Radar that, "I'm a big believer in programs like Game Pass, and for us it was a huge moment, something we marked on the calendar." MacArthur said the team wanted to get Battlefield 2042 in shape for the Game Pass launch because the team knew the game would see a major influx of players. Quote, "One thing we talked about internally quite a lot was if there was a moment in time where we were going to open this game up to a whole bunch of new players, then it needs to be good. It needs to be the game that we want it to be when we launched it, and that really galvanized the team as we charged towards that date." It's too bad the game wasn't good when it came out, though. When it should have been good. A
little bit.
Yeah,
I talked about earlier, like, I was a huge Battlefield guy, hated the specialists, but I also, the thing that I really hate that none of them want to talk about or none of them really want to address is crossplay on by default. The fact that crossplay is on by default means that it's basically on permanently. Because there isn't the switch on the front of the menu. You have to dig through some menus to find the off button. No one's going to turn it off. And the people that do turn it off, there's not enough of them. So you end up in a server with like 3 players or something. So you have to keep it turned on unless you want to have long queues, or at least it was the last time I tried and played it. I don't know if people have wised up to it now. But the crossplay in Battlefield is absolutely devastating. It's devastating in a game like Battlefield. To come up against like mouse and keyboard players in a game that can be so chaotic, being able to do those instant turns with the mouse without sacrificing aiming accuracy, that's absolutely critical in a game like Battlefield. Absolutely critical. And the fact that like you're thrown into the mix with PC players who have access to a just bigger variety of peripherals, like super duper mice with like high DPI and stuff like that. It does provide an advantage, and yeah, console players have aim assist, but I never hear PC gamers calling for them to remove console players. I never hear them calling to remove console players from the pool because it's a free kill for them, frankly, because they can turn faster. It's that simple. So the fact that you can't turn it off is always an irritation for me. You can turn it off physically, but you can't turn it off practically because there's no players who do turn it off. At least there wasn't when I was playing it. So that's why I generally play Overwatch, because Overwatch is one game where it doesn't matter if there's a keyboard and mouse player in there, unless there's a Widowmaker on the enemy team, but they've nerfed Widowmaker to hell, so that doesn't even matter now either. Because it's not a game that's really aiming intensive. You can play a hero that doesn't need crazy aiming, and you can compete pretty well with someone with a keyboard, with a lot of characters. If I am in a match with a mixed team, I just switch to Junkrat or something and blow them up with bombs. But yeah, I don't know. And yeah, PC players bitch about aim assist, but I think they're only bitching about aim assist because they bitch about aim assist, but they don't ask for turning off crossplay. They want aim assist turned off. They don't want crossplay turned off because they want the free kill. If you turn off aim assist, that's it. There's just no way in hell that a console player could compete with anyone competent with a high DPI mouse. There's just no room. There's no way for it.
Yeah, I didn't. Well, when it comes to Battlefield 2042, I was always a Battlefield guy over a Call of Duty guy. Like, I played the Call of Duty campaigns, but if it was multiplayer, I would play the Battlefield games. I sunk so many hours into Battlefield, Bad Company 1 and 2, and Battlefield 3. I didn't play Battlefield 4 as much, and I didn't even really play Battlefield 1 that much, or 5. I think I played 5 sparingly. But when I started, I was quite excited for Battlefield 2042 because I'm like, all right, they're going back to modern. And the game just wasn't good at launch to the point where I think my friends played it for 2 days, and then we all just stopped because it wasn't good, wasn't fun. And once I always said, like, once we drop off of something, we don't go back to it. So nobody ever went back to Battlefield 2042. And it's funny to see them being like, we needed the game to be good when we open up all these new players. It's like, man, too bad you couldn't make the game good for launch, huh? That's one of the things that bugs me so much about this gen, where it's just like, developers put out a game and they're like, don't worry, we'll just fix it later with patches. It makes you kind of just, it makes you kind of not want to buy something day one. Because you don't know, like, how well's the gonna be, how well the game's gonna perform or what the population's gonna be. You get caught up in the hype of these games. You're like, oh, I love Battlefield, so you get it, and then, like, boom, it's just not good.
Yeah,
but then you end up with a situation like Baldur's Gate 3, where there's no reviews, but people have been playing in early access, and apparently the game's pretty damn solid. Like, not a lot of bugs, if any.
Yeah, it's really tight.
And maybe that's, because they were able to do it. They did it right. They did early access for a long time, figuring out what people wanted, quashing bugs, which a lot of developers, especially big developers, like you wrote your article about that, like, hey, what can they learn? Maybe early access is the way to go, but a lot of companies aren't going to do early access, Yeah.
True.
But we have a super chat here from JoJo752. Any chance Xbox could move to NVIDIA? DLSS is clearly superior to FSR, or would that mess up back compat? Thanks. I think there's 0% chance Xbox goes to NVIDIA.
Yeah, it's too expensive. End of discussion.
Would that screw up back compat if they went from AMD to NVIDIA? Would that screw up?
Yes.
That would screw up back compat? All right.
Yes.
Well, there you go. It would screw up back compat. So, yeah.
Well, I was going to say unless they do it all through the cloud, but then that's just going to give you future-proofing problems, so I don't know.
Aramix says, happy Friday, fellas. With Starfield fast approaching, what are you guys thinking the Metacritic Open Critic hits. What about sales figures? Hales, sales figures? So, all right. I would imagine that the Metacritic, the reviews would hit probably late August. So, early access is September 1st. So, I would expect reviews that week. Whether the reviews would be the 31st of August or the 30th or the 29th. It'll be probably one of those days. Because I'm not sure anybody has the game right now. At least there might be select outlets that have it. Like IGN or something may have the game now or something. But I don't think the majority of people have it yet. And they probably won't start getting it until next week or maybe even the week after. And they want to give people a lot of time to play the game. So I think most people probably have 2 weeks to play the game. So I would imagine reviews would be either like the 30th or 31st. Sales is tough to talk about because it's on Game Pass on Xbox and PC. And a lot of people will choose to just use the subscription instead of buying a game. So, now granted, it's not on Game Pass on Steam. So, and we know it's one of the highest, pre-ordered game on Steam. So it'll probably be absolutely massive on Steam. I think Fallout 4 had like 1 million concurrent players back in 2015. People forget how big the Bethesda games are on PC. So I would imagine the concurrent numbers on Steam will be above Baldur's Gate. Now, early access might bring that down because that is going to be $100. I think to play it early on PC, it's $100. I don't know how many people are out there willing to play $100 for it. But then again, Hogwarts Legacy was the biggest Steam launch this year, and that launched in early access as well. I'm not sure for $100.
Do you really think? Sorry, I cut you off there, but I was going to say, do you really think it'll beat Baldur's Gate?
Yes.
While being in Game Pass? I don't know, man.
Yes, absolutely. Why wouldn't it? Dude, there's not a significant amount of people that use PC Game Pass to impact Steam numbers like that. And early access, does the early access work on PC on Xbox? Xbox on PC? I don't know because I haven't looked at it, so I don't know if it. I would assume it does, right?
I don't know off the top of my head.
But you look at what Bethesda games have done before, like Fallout 4, over 1 million concurrent, if I'm not mistaken. I'd expect that. I'd expect Starfield to hit 1 million concurrent at some point, whether it's early access or the regular launch. Like I said, Hogwarts Legacy's number 1, and I think it hit during early access, but I think maybe that was $80. Maybe it lowers Steam numbers just a little bit, but I don't think it lowers it that enough. And as far as like how many it sells on Xbox, I don't know. It's tough to say because I think most people will play it on Game Pass. I think you'll see a considerable amount of people pay the $35 to play it early, which, is like half a copy, right? Your copy of Game Pass is $70, and you can play it 5 days early at $35. I think FOMO is going to play a part for a lot of people where they see people playing it on September 1st. They're going to be like, oh, I can just get it now. Plus, you get the first expansion as well. So a lot of people might be like, we saw it with Forza Horizon 5. That had over like 2 million people play it in early access. And
fair enough.
I think Starfield is way more anticipated than Forza Horizon 5. So, yeah, I'm expecting big numbers on Steam, and I'm expecting big numbers, at least players, on Xbox. I don't know what it would do sales-wise, because you just can't really predict that because you don't know how much Game Pass is gonna affect it.
Fair enough. I mean, Spaced Overkin in chat made a good point. He said, "PC Game Pass is awful for mods, which does preclude a lot of PC gamers, and PC Game Pass is pretty awful for mods because oftentimes you can access the files now, but there's still confusion about updates wiping injectors and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
Do you want to bet? Do you want to bet about Steam concurrent numbers for Starfield? If it'll get over 1 million, do you want to make a bet about that?
For what?
I don't
What are
know.
we
I'm just
betting?
saying. I'll bet. I'll bet it. I'll bet that it goes over 1 million at some
Okay.
point. I don't know what you want from
At
me.
some point.
Well, whether it be like the day of release or early access, but I'm saying at some point during launch week, it'll be over 1 million easily.
So you think Starfield will hit a million concurrent users on Steam in launch week?
Yeah, whether it's like August 31st to whatever, from early access to like that weekend, like September 8th, 9th, or whatever after it launches. Yeah, that 1 week period. Absolutely. From like the first, what would it be? The 1st to the 10th then? Right? Let me look at the calendar.
Yeah.
So it's September 1st. Yeah, so September 1st to like the 9th, essentially. That Friday to this next Saturday. Yeah, at some point during that, it'll reach 1 million easily. Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to take the bet, but I'll be interested to see if you're right.
Who thinks I'll be right about that?
Put it in the chat. Put a poll in chat. Will Starfield
I don't
hit
think that's not a good
users?
poll. That's not a good poll.
Okay.
Crazy G14 says, "Hey, Rand Jez, happy Friday. Would you be happy if Avalanche Studios was acquired and bring out a Mad Max sequel?" I don't know. I mean, you've seen how long they've taken with Contraband. They revealed it in 2021, and it's nowhere to be found.
I think the studio that made Mad Max is very different now to what they've got. I would think Avalanche. I'd love to see a new Mad Max game that's sort of built on that, but man, I just don't know if the studio's in a good place right now, given how Contraband sort of it's part of those elusive games that we don't know anything about, and I think that's because the studio's got a lot of problems. It's my gut feeling about that. So, as much as I enjoyed Mad Max, I think I want to see Avalanche prove themselves before advocating for an acquisition, but I don't know if Rand feels differently.
I mean, I didn't really enjoy Rage 2 that much, and I didn't play Mad Max, and I haven't really enjoyed the Just Cause games, so to me, they're not like somebody I'm eyeing towards an acquisition, honestly. I mean, if Contraband's great, then we can re-enter this discussion. But the fact that it's taken this long to get Contraband out, and we have no idea what it looks like, let alone what it plays like and what they're going for, and my experience with their previous game. Now, maybe I played the wrong game. I haven't played Mad Max, and maybe that's the game I need to play. But there are other ones I played I just really haven't been a fan of that much. So,
Mad Max is really cool. They really captured Mad Max really well. Like few of the movie tie-in kind of franchises have, in my opinion. I think it was severely underrated. It has the best vehicular combat I've ever experienced in a game. And it's even better than Rage 2's vehicular combat, which is weird because they did the combat for the vehicular combat in Rage 2. Like I remember playing the vehicular combat in Rage 2. I was really hyped about it because Rage 2 obviously is a very vehicular combat kind of heavy game, and it was kind of like, oh wow, Avalanche is doing it. Mad Max was great. It just didn't feel as good. I don't know what it is about it. Like the explosions aren't as cool, the sound effects aren't as good. It's just less satisfying for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's because like you need to get a ton of upgrades before it starts feeling good in that game or something. But anyway, yeah, Rage 2 was honestly a disappointment for me a little bit. So yeah, I'm kind of down on Avalanche right now. I need to see what Contraband does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rich from the 401 says, "Y'all are down in the Series S, so I'll pitch my idea again. Cancel support for the Series S. Offer owners a great trade-in deal towards the X. What do you both think? Happy devs equals better games for us all." I mean, I'm not down in the Series S.
Yeah, I'm not down on the Series S either. I was just sort of like talking about the practical realities of the situation Microsoft has put themselves in. Whether or not the Series S is worth it is what we were debating. Like I personally I think it is worth it because it's great for people who can't necessarily afford a Series X or And also, it's good for xCloud too because it forces them to make a 1080p SKU, which is what you need for cloud gaming. You know, so I'm not against the Series S. You know, even if I gave that, you know, because sometimes when you criticize things, people just think you're against it. I'm not against the Series S at all. I was just talking about the practical reality, the practical problems of having that 2 SKU system, and whether or not it's a recipe for success. You know, that being said, I don't think they should do that. I don't think they should do that.
They couldn't work. There's no way you can cut support for the console and then being like, by the way, go trade it in at your nearest retailer and get a Series X.
Yeah, I mean, other than the you know the financial realities of it not working, just imagine that the some way that it could work. I don't think they should do that anyway. I don't think they should drop what they've got. I think they should double down on it. I think they should work harder to make it work. I think they need to have teams of devs in place, and they've got this. But I think they maybe need to do more to that end. They need teams in place who can like go to these devs and say, "Is there anything we can do to help you to bring this game up to par?" You know, and they do have these teams for that. But maybe they just need more budget. Maybe they need more teams doing that. I believe that's Sarah Bond's division, actually. Sarah Bond's in charge of delivering delivering those experiences, which is you know, the developer experience and stuff. So that's Sarah Bond's team. But it's kind of like, does she have enough people within that team to accomplish that? What they need to do? So I think they should double down on it. I don't think they should get rid of it. But would I do it again next gen? Probably not.
Well, that's the question. Is I guess like to see if the Series S is a success, you need to see what it does when it's like $199 or $150, and Xbox has a library of great games. If it still doesn't take off then, and people still don't want it, then all right, you made the wrong decision. And then moving forward, having a low end SKU for next time probably isn't the way to go either. If it didn't work this time, would it work again? Probably not. So yeah, there's a lot you can learn from what's going on here, with the Series S and how developers feel about it and how consumers feel about it, about a low end SKU and a high end SKU. Maybe Sony could get away with it. Maybe they have the cachet where they could pull it off.
Well, rumor is they're basically going to be doing that with the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 Pro.
Yeah, no,
that'll be the situation.
But that's a totally different situation. A PlayStation 5 and a PlayStation 5 Pro is totally different from a Series S and a Series X, in my opinion. Like, the baseline is a PS5, which is already pretty powerful, and then you're just having a better version of that. Whereas, like, you have the Series X, which is pretty powerful, but then you need to make this another version of the game, which is significantly worse. And
what if they're doing Xbox Series S Pro? And I doubt they're going to do that because that would have been the black one, probably. But what if they did an Xbox Series S Pro that sort of shored up some of its shortcomings a little bit without boosting the price point?
Yeah, but I mean, what does that do? But what does that do for the 10+ million who already own the Series S, and the developers that are already still going to have to make a game for the Series S, regardless of there being a pro version of it? It doesn't remove that system. No, you're not doing trade-ins. Can you imagine all right.
Do a recall.
Could you imagine a situation, a scenario, hypothetically? We've already seen how people reacted when Microsoft raised the price of their games to $70. Granted, it wasn't as harsh as it could have been because Sony did it first, and Sony took the brunt of it. So thank you, Sony, for that, right? As what Microsoft would say. But there are people being like, screw this. There are people upset when Microsoft raised the price by $1 for Game Pass console and $2 for Ultimate. Anytime anything price gets raised, people get pissed. Remember the furor, the absolute angry lynch mob, essentially, that was out there when they tried to raise the price of gold to $120 a few years ago. Remember that? How angry people were?
Yeah, that was all caused by you.
Oh, yeah, I did make a video about that. But could you imagine a scenario where you wake up one morning, it's like 8 a.m., Microsoft sends out a thing where they're like, effective immediately, we are stopping support for the Xbox Series S. We are sorry to the tens of millions of people who bought the system and who play games on it.
Yeah.
Could you imagine the backlash that would? Could you imagine?
What if they did like a total trading deal?
Oh,
where it's
dude,
like...
but you can't ever expect everybody to essentially.
What if Microsoft
use
just
that.
wrote it down? What if they wrote it down? They wrote it down and they're just like, "Yeah, we screwed up. We're gonna do 100% one-to-one trade-ins. So bring us your stuff, and you can trade the whole thing in for free."
No, you
And then
made
Microsoft
you made the
takes-
system. You got to ride out the gen. You got to until you can essentially move on to the next systems. That I don't know if that happened. We're like, oh, by the way, we're not supporting this system anymore. Whew. I mean, we talk about the concern trolls on social media that talk about, oh, no Starfield demo. Is the game getting delayed? Is there a problem? Starfield marketing, etc., etc., etc. And we're kind of just laughing about it, whatever. Could you imagine if Microsoft actually stopped supporting one of their systems halfway through the generation and just basically said, sorry, kids, thanks for your money, but you know what? Spend more. The system that you bought's obsolete? Dude, I wouldn't say necessarily it's over, but that would be the worst PR you could possibly imagine. So no, there's no way that's happening.
Damn.
Rambling Gamer Guy says, can we talk about actual realities instead of just far-fetched scenarios? Well, I mean, we were kind of responding to the super chat about like, hey, stopping support and stuff, and that was essentially like we were saying that would never happen because of this of what people would say. So yeah, you're right. It is far-fetched because it never would happen. Meat Puppet says, Rand, with games getting bigger, do you think next-gen distance from Xbox and PlayStation will include a larger than 1 terabyte internal storage? If the cost of said storage is low enough, then maybe. But honestly, probably not. I think 1 terabyte's probably enough for most people. So I don't really see them upgrading it higher for a base model. Maybe you could do a higher version in like a pro model because it costs more, but for a base model, I think all you'll see is 1 terabyte because people can just delete stuff and re-download it. It's not that much of a hassle, and they'll obviously let you put your own storage in, which, man, I still remember the conversations we had at the beginning of this gen about who did it better, PlayStation or Xbox with storage solutions, and whew, did Xbox get smoked on that one, huh? What a wrong choice that was. I mean, I think what was it? I think PlayStation just announced that they have support now up to like 8 terabytes of SSD, Jez.
8 terabytes?
It was support up to 4, and now there's support up to 8. And all we have is like a 2 terabyte one that was $400 that is now I think $275, which is still utterly ridiculous cost for it. But you imagine 8 terabytes? How much would that cost on Xbox if you had an 8 terabyte card? Probably over $1,000.
Yeah, it would be $1,000.
Yeah, they made the wrong choice on that. Oh well.
Yes,
I wonder how that'll change for next generation. We have Aramek saying, would the real big brain move for Xbox be to release their next gen console in 2026 instead of a mid-gen refresh in 2024 or 2025? Well, I mean, I thought I saw Cold Eastwood made a video about this. Xbox Series X2 in 2026. I didn't get a chance to check it out, but there's been some speculation that maybe Xbox starts next gen early. That instead of doing a mid-gen refresh, they just do a full new gen earlier than you normally would expect. How do you feel about that, Jez? Would you be okay with that?
I'm cool with that. I think that's probably the best thing to do right now, to be honest.
You think so?
But yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we talked about that last week, and we basically floated the idea that they should just accept that this gen is probably going to be about treading water, and come out swing gear next gen with a more focused, more stock. I really want to know what happened with the stock, bro. This time, I really want to know about that because there's no real information about what happened when with the stock levels. The stock levels have sort of been just, I don't know, non-existent since forever. And that's why, like, you saw PlayStation had a 300% jump. And it was nothing to do with, suddenly Sony's got an amazing game or they had a massive marketing
they had Final
campaign or
Fantasy
something.
16 in June, but yeah.
Well, I mean,
and
the
Diablo
jump
was
happened
out,
before
and
then,
Street
though.
Fighter was out.
This is before then, though.
Yeah,
I'm
but you're talking about the
spring.
Oh, you're talking about, yeah. Oh, so you're not talking about NPD from June. You're talking about
No. I'm
else.
not talking about June. I'm talking about when they had the huge jump in the spring.
Right,
because
yeah.
they sorted out the stock levels, So, yeah, it's all about stock. And if Microsoft has the stock, if Microsoft doesn't screw up what happened, I really want to know what happened there. Did they lose a bidding war? Did they lose a yield? Did AMD screw up? Like, what the hell? It's very interesting. I wish I knew that story, but yeah, if anyone at Microsoft wants to reach out and tell me, let me know.
So, you know what? I think we're gonna move to some Patreon questions, Jez. Shall we? So thank you guys so much for being here. I know we had over 1,300 people, 1,400 people, which is way more than I thought, considering we already did a show this week, and there really isn't anything super juicy to talk about. And we didn't even this might be the first show in a long time where ABK wasn't even mentioned or talked. Well, we talked about how it wasn't talked about because there's nothing going on. We're just kind of waiting for August 29th to happen. And for the CMA to shock everybody and block the deal again. Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
Could you imagine? But I'm not going to put that energy in the world because it's gonna go through. But yeah, thanks for being here. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're gonna go to some questions, which is, when I opened the thread up earlier, there was only 9. Now there's double, so there's 18. A lot of people wait to the last minute, but then again, you don't post this until the day before. So,
yes, dude. Do you know who a Twitch streamer called Kai Cenat is?
He's like the biggest Twitch streamer in the world. Yeah, he caused he had a fan meetup in New York City, and there was like a bunch of riots, and he got arrested or something. Yeah.
Yeah. There's he held some kind of giveaway, and I'm just reading about this now. He held some kind of giveaway in Union Square Park, and it's caused a riot. And I'd never heard of him. So he's the biggest streamer on Twitch now.
I don't know if he's the biggest streamer in views wise, but I know at one point he had the most subs on Twitch. Like he was the most sub to streamer on Twitch.
I've never heard of this guy.
I don't think I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know if he is the one who has the most views. But at one point he was the most sub to. Or wait, no, is he the YouTube guy? No, he's the Twitch guy.
He's a Twitch guy.
Yeah, he was like the most sub to.
Rumble streamer,
but Twitch doesn't promote him like they used to promote Ninja back in the day, right?
What is Rumble? He streams Rumble.
No idea.
I don't know. I don't know, but anyway, yeah, he gets 100k viewers every time he streams. Says Fort Worth. That's wild, man. I had no idea. But anyway, yeah, let's do Patreon questions.
Yeah.
I've just gotten to a really weird looking boss in Remnant that is absolutely wild. Some of the stuff in Remnant 2 is so crazy. I absolutely love this game. You can tell the devs really, really, really put their heart and soul into Remnant 2. Highly recommend this game. It is so interesting.
I mean, if I have time, maybe. I'm currently playing that one game, and I know I want to play Armored Core and Starfield and that Immortals Avrium game. So I'm just time's short to start a Remnant 2.
I would skip the game you're playing now.
I think I'm almost done, so ain't no skipping. Here's the thing, Jez.
Go straight to Remnant after this.
No. See, the thing is, when I play a game, I beat a game. I'm not like you, where I play a game for 10 minutes and then stop. Okay, I beat stuff. That's what I do.
You mean?
I mean, I'm truthful. That's what I'm saying. Telling me to stop what I'm playing to go play something else, no. I'll stop playing the game I'm currently playing when I beat it. And then that's the other
Fair
thing. It's
enough.
like there's just not enough time. It's like I beat that game, and then okay, Remnant 2, but there's other games I want to play. And then what if I get Armored Core early? What if I get Starfield early? And then it's like, all right, well now I'm stopping to play this. Although I probably won't get Starfield early
First world problem.
because Bethesda PR doesn't know who I am, which is fine.
I don't blame them. You are nobody.
Yeah, I know. This is
Someone in chat just said Lords of the Fallen. I completely forgot about that. That's another game.
Lords of the Fallen
that looks
does come
really
out
good.
this fall, indeed. Yep.
It looks really good too.
I think it comes out the same day as the new Assassin's Creed. So good luck to that game. And then a couple days before
I'm
the
more
new
interested in that
new
than
Alan Wake.
Assassin's Creed.
Good luck to that game. And just wait till they announce the release date for Red Dead. Probably the same day as Alan Wake 2. Well, Alan Wake 2 should move if that's the case.
Nah, bro.
Yes.
Alan Wake 2 is bigger than Red Dead.
The Alan Wake 1 and Red Dead Redemption launched the same day back in 2009.
Oh, really?
That's why people joke about it. About like the
really?
remaster actually launching on the release date of Alan Wake 2. Yeah.
That'd be really
I remember
weird.
that was a big day back in 2009 when that happened. It was Red Dead Redemption. It was Alan Wake. It was Blur, I believe, also launched that same day. It was a whole bunch. I remember going to Blockbuster being like, what am I going to rent here?
I just got Blur mixed up with Brink. Do you remember Brink?
Oh God, do I remember
Blur's-
Brink?
Blur's that racing game, right? I got
Yes.
that. I got that temporarily mixed up.
And they don't make
Dude, this boss is crazy. It's absolutely insane. I need to stream this game, man. It is so cool. The bosses are just, the art in this game is so delectable, man. It makes me want a new Darksiders too. It's the same dev, right? Gunfire. Darksiders was so good, man.
Yeah, Gunfire is, yes, they are the devs of Darksiders.
Yeah.
Sierra 1 Kevin says, thinking about the length of time game development takes now, I believe games should focus on a 3-year dev cycle and cut back the length and scope as required, and then iterate with sequels and DLC. My thoughts are developers are creative minds, and being on one project for, say, 5 years might get stale. Also, the market changes so quickly that a game starting now and coming out in 5 years may not land well, thinking of Suicide Squad. What are your thoughts? Yeah, the trends come and go. You used to be able to capitalize it during the 360 and early Xbox One gen, where you could turn around a sequel in 2-3 years and jump right onto those trends. Can't really do that anymore. And your example of Suicide Squad is very, very poignant, because we've seen people start pushing back on live service and things of that nature. So when they're finally ready to reveal Suicide Squad, everybody's like, ew. When maybe if it was a few years ago, maybe people would be more receptive. But it takes this long to bring a game to market. Probably get all the... Suicide Squad is probably also a game that has to be sort of approved from DC, like how the characters look and the story and all that stuff, right? So it probably has extra layers of corporate interference than other games would. And I think this is something Sean Layden talked about after he left Sony. Jez, if you remember, he had an interview where he talked about he wanted games to come out. He wanted games to be shorter and have shorter playtime. Like instead of having a 40-hour huge world, that maybe the game's 10 hours long, and you could do it on a shorter dev cycle, right?
That's going to be great for them, because they can sell more games, for one thing, and also the games will be cheaper to make. The games will be less risky to make. But from a publisher's perspective, they don't want you playing other people's games. They want you in Assassin's Creed Valhalla for 1,000 hours.
Mm.
They don't want you playing other people's games. So that's why games started getting more and more bloated. And this is one of the reasons why Microsoft used to charge. It's one of the reasons other than profiteering. Microsoft used to charge for updates back in the day.
Yes,
and that kept games shorter. Because it was like, obviously that was the wrong decision. I'm not saying they should charge. I'm not saying they should ever charge for updates. That's ridiculous. But one of the consequences of that, and as a consequence of storage getting cheaper, download speeds getting faster, one of the consequences of that, and moving away from discs, There are less constraints on the length of a game. So it made publishers start filling their games with filler and padding and making them 1,000 hours long and um, making you grind sheep for 1,000 hours for like a pittance of money because it would keep you in their game. It's like engagement padding, right? So, yeah, but I would also prefer shorter games, I think. And there was a big drama recently, IGN, because I saw game journalists sharing this around within their communities about IGN had a headline up saying Ratchet and Clank being only.
It wasn't IGN. It was PC Gamer.
Oh, was it PC Gamer?
It was PC Gamer basically saying that like equating price to length about how Ratchet and Clank isn't worth $60 because it's 10-hour experience, right?
Yes.
Which is sort of what we're this question kind of touches a little bit on about making shorter games with a shorter development cycle, but then you get into the thing where people look, I don't want to spend $70 on an 8-hour game, right? Whether that's right or wrong, there are people that think like that.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't apply to like any other, like, doesn't apply to movies,
I used to think like that. And what changed my thinking about this was Oblivion, I think. Because I'd never played a Creation Engine game before. I'd never even experienced a Bethesda game before. I never experienced any game like Oblivion before. So like the games I've been playing up to that point were these sort of 10-hour-ish experiences, if that. And Final Fantasy VII was probably the biggest game I'd ever played up to that point. And that, all the, the Final Fantasy games. I think like before I played Oblivion, I suppose it was 7, 8, and 9, I suppose. And Final Fantasy X. Like those were the biggest games I'd ever played. But Oblivion was on like a completely different level. It was like so big, so vast. And after that, I was like, wow. And then Red Dead Redemption came out, and then Assassin's Creed, first kind of games. So back when I was younger and I had less money, a lot less money, like I used to earn in my first job, I used to earn about $700 a month. It was not very much money at all. So like back when I was earning that much money, or even less, some weeks, because I didn't always have hours. I had that view that I want to get when I do spend 60. Well, it would have been 50 quid back then, or 40 quid even. When I do spend the money on said games, I kind of need them to last a certain amount, But now I'm a little bit older and I've got more money and less time. I kind of do feel that way. So at the end of the day, kind of like what I said earlier, there's no single model which works. As long as there's a good variety of shorter games, shorter experiences, and a good variety of longer games and longer experiences, it's ultimately what you value. And I don't think there's anything wrong with equating. I don't think there's anything wrong personally with equating length to value. I really don't, because for some people, you're going to look at a game like Ratchet and Clank, which maybe you want to complete once, and if it costs the same as Starfield, which you can play for 1 million hours and it's going to last you a really long time, or even a different game like you can play it with your friends or something like that, why wouldn't you, man? Why wouldn't you play something else, or why wouldn't you make those considerations? It's ultimately about what is right for the individual at the end of the day. So I don't think it's fair to attack PC Gamer for that take specifically, because the writer probably ain't earning that much money.
Jeez. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be against shorter experiences if it lets you have a game come earlier. Because I don't need every game to be 50, 40, 30 hours with an open world that just is full of just collectibles and a bunch of nonsense you have to do, Give me a more focused experience that doesn't last as long, that doesn't overstay its welcome, right? And it seems like all the games, a lot of games now just want to be that everything game where you're always on it all the time. And maybe it's not sustainable in that manner. I don't know.
Yeah.
We have Silas saying, with the recent discourse around the PS5 Pro, Xbox Series X2, are we as enthusiast community not living in the reality that graphics and performance aren't really that important to the majority of consumers? That in reality it's the content, IP, and gameplay that's the primary revenue driver. I'm thinking of Nintendo first-party games, Minecraft, Roblox, most mobile games as examples. I wonder how many gamers could actually tell the difference between 30 and 60. Bring up very good points. And I do think, and I think there's even been people have hinted at it, that the majority of people playing on PlayStation and Xbox Series X play in quality mode. That 60 FPS isn't a factor for a lot of people. And while we are the super hardcore, do graphics and performance that matter that important? Are they that important to us? Or are they important to everybody else? And that's a good question to raise, because you look at Nintendo and you look what they're doing and what their games are putting out, and they're killing it. So at least to a segment of some audience, graphics and performance don't matter that much.
I think it really depends on the audience you're targeting. Like, for example, I've been, like, sometimes I hang out with my cousin who's Gen Z, and I like to ask her questions. She's a gamer, but I like to ask her questions about how she feels about gaming, because it gets me out of my bubble. This is the bubble we're talking about right now. Right. And I was showing her, what game was I showing her? I can't remember off the top of my head what game I was showing her. But I was showing her some photorealistic game, which we will consider to have good graphics, right? Photorealistic game. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head. But she said the graphics were terrible. And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean the graphics are terrible? And I was like incredulous. I was like, how can you say the graphics are terrible? And then she was like, here's an example of good graphics. She showed me Genshin Impact. Because in her head, she was equating art style to graphics, and she prefers the anime art style, right? So I think a lot of Gen Z who are growing up with games like Roblox or Genshin Impact and stuff like that, it's less about the raw visual technical showcase that we sort of enjoy, and oftentimes it's about the visual style that's important, you know, to sort of win consumers of a certain demographic. And like, I think like the fact that Microsoft has basically 0 anime games in its first party, I think that's a problem. Because I swear to God, Gen Z, they love their anime style games. You know, Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, and when we talk about, you know, other games of Japanese style games, I know Genshin Impact's made in China, but it's still that anime tradition, right? Xbox traditionally has missed some of those out, right? I suppose Hi-Fi Rush is the Genshin kind of style, but I should show her that. That's a good idea. But I doubt she's ever heard of Hi-Fi Rush, because I don't think it trended super hard with that demographic or whatever. But I think a lot of times it is a demographic thing, and I often think about something my old boss told me, and this really stuck with me for some reason. He said, back in the day, there used to be millions of consumers and only dozens of industries. And now he says there are only dozens of consumers but millions of industries. And what he meant was, you can still have like a profitable business even if it's like a niche, but you've just got a really passionate niche willing to spend a lot of money. And that's kind of like what we do with the podcast. You know, we're not pulling in millions and millions and millions of views, but you know, we have like a really passionate, a very, you know, a small kind of community and a very passionate community and stuff like that. And it's kind of like that these days with games, where you can't make a game that appeals to everyone. And I think that's what publishers these days are often getting tripped up over by. They're kind of looking at some of these big games like Fortnite and being like, how can we turn our game into Fortnite so we can appeal to everyone? And I just don't think that's how it works, you know. I've kind of gone off on a big tangent here, but ultimately the point is that I don't think graphics and performance necessarily matter to everyone, but they sure as hell matter to some people. And it ultimately depends on who your game is targeting. If you're targeting the hardcore, you know, if you're making Gears of War, the next Gears of War, people expect Gears of War to be a graphical showcase.
Yep.
If you're making Genshin Impact 2, I don't really think it matters that much. If you're making the next Zelda, it doesn't matter if it's photorealistic, you know? It's kind of like, what is your target audience, and knowing how to tap that, I guess.
Yeah. Well, like with Xbox, it's kind of like you expect a certain level of visual quality, just like PlayStation, right? Although Xbox will kind of give you some curveballs like Sea of Thieves or Pentiment. But you're right. Like if you're doing Gears, you expect Gears to be highly graphical experience with really good performance. But yeah, I guess you're 100% right. It just goes to show you what audience you're going after. Leaky Hump says in the chat, did you see John Johannes' interview about Hi-Fi Rush 2 and Evil Within 3? Did you check that out, Jez?
No. What website was that on?
I forget. I saw it, just like the quote, but he basically, he talked a little bit about both. Didn't really say which ones they would do or if they would do it. It's like here, he says, quote, I think I'm never done with any idea. I would never want to close the door on anything, but regardless of what we do, I think both IPs are things that are close to my heart, so it would be great to revisit them someday when talking about Hi-Fi Rush and Evil Within. So I guess I'll ask you the question.
I like that.
What do you want? Hi-Fi Rush 2 or Evil Within 3?
Evil Within 3.
Or would you rather have something new?
Well, this is the thing. Again, it's demographic. I think Hi-Fi Rush 2 will probably be a bigger commercial hit. I think the Evil Within is a brutally. It's a difficult game. It's a difficult horror game.
But but couldn't you say that Evil Within could be the bigger commercial game, considering of how the revival of horror is come around, like the Resident Evils. You have Alan Wake, you have Alone in the Dark.
Yeah, definitely.
Dead Space. Horror seems to be making a comeback, and there's Evil Within right there. Could it...
Positioned properly, I think Evil Within 3 could do really well. I think like if they dropped trying to make it an open world game, I think that would probably help. I mean, it wasn't true. Evil Within 2 wasn't truly open world. It sort of went wide linear, kind of. And I think it went a little bit too open, but I think if they pulled it back a bit and sort of made it more like Resident Evil 4, because Resident Evil 4 gets wide linear at times. I don't know, but yeah, maybe Evil Within 3 could be the bigger game. It's people already know what it is.
Or yeah, I mean, Hi-Fi Rush 2, bigger budget, bigger stages,
the real
more
answer
marketing.
Is both.
Yeah, I mean, you should do both realistically. But
the real answer is both. But
I want Hi-Fi Rush 2.
Personally,
so
I would prefer Evil Within personally.
Yeah, I want Hi-Fi Rush 2. Jay Foley says in the Patreon, Rand and Jez, with Starfield coming out soon and being available on Game Pass, I want to ask what has been your guys' favorite day one on Game Pass game in 2023 so far that has been released?
Ooh, that's tough. That's a tough question because I don't really remember what games have been day one on Game Pass. There's a lot of games that I'm kind of annoyed at myself for not finishing. One of them's Wolong. That was a pretty major get for Game Pass, which again, this year has been so good for games. I kind of feel bad for Wolong because people are going to forget it when it comes to Game of the Year discussions, and I really think Wolong was a really great game. What I did play of it,
yeah, but not Game of the Year worthy. It was all right. It was good, but it wasn't like great.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been considered in a really bad year, is what I'm saying. But the fact that it's sort of like it's been such a good year, it's not even been up for discussion. But man, I don't know.
I would say Planet of Lana for me. I really like that game, and I use Game Pass to play it, so that would be mine. Because I did use I used Game Pass for Wolong, and I like Wolong. I do use it for Atomic Heart, and I liked Atomic Heart, but not as much as even Wolong. So I'm just kind of thinking like Ghostwire Tokyo. I like Ghostwire Tokyo quite a bit as well, but it's probably gonna be Planet of Lana.
I'm gonna say Monster Hunter Rise. I think.
Okay, it's good.
Monster Hunter, like the fact Monster Hunter Rise was even coming at Xbox was a surprise, but the fact they also put it straight into Game Pass, I think that's really cool and awesome. So, I was really happy to see it there.
Got to get that ready for that announcement of a new Monster Hunter coming. Right? Isn't Capcom supposed to announce something or?
Yeah, so I mean that's the expectation. Capcom said in an investor call they're releasing the game next year, which they expect to sell millions and millions of copies. That has to be Monster Hunter World 2. What else could it possibly be? So with that in mind, I'm pretty excited. Monster Hunter World is the game that I have the most hours played in, second to World of Warcraft. So I'm ready, bro. My body is ready for that shit.
Yeah. We have Omen with the Patreon question. Dear Sleepy Randall Snore and Feelings-Based Jazz. Well, it's great to hear that Starfield is a Play Anywhere title. Why does Bethesda only sell their PC Collector and PC Physical Editions with the Steam key, which are not Play Anywhere compatible? While I know Steam is the preferred purchasing method for PC games, I'm surprised that Bethesda doesn't even provide the option to buy a Microsoft Store copy for PC Collector and Physical Editions. Well, wouldn't you buy the Xbox version then? Because that's Xbox Play Anywhere, right?
Yes, it is. That was added to the game this week.
Well, no,
I
I'm
mean,
answering the question because he says their PC version was Steam, but they also had an Xbox Collector's Edition, right? So if you
yes.
got the Xbox Collector's Edition, that would work.
Oh yeah, you get the PC version.
You work
it's
for the
just one
PC
code.
version, right?
Oh yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, he's asking why did he? I think he's basically saying why wasn't like some of the PC versions for Windows, but it's like Xbox is Play Anywhere, so.
I think they accept that most people who play on PC in a hardcore way will get it on Steam just because of the mod tools experience. The mod tools experience on the PC Game Pass app are going to be it's going to be awful. So you kind of put yourself in a situation where you have to get it on Steam, maybe. But,
yeah. No, so if you just buy the Xbox version, that's the PC version for the Windows Store. Tricks are for Trey. Hey guys, I was thinking about this whole Starfield talk about Microsoft being quiet. Was thinking maybe they want people to be surprised when playing and not have anything spoiled about it. Was just thinking back to how they cut gameplay right when your character uses a force type power. Well, there's still a lot that they have yet to show. And I'm not sure it has to do with anything being spoiled. I mean, we just saw a 45-minute essential walkthrough of the game, a demonstration that people loved. And people forget how there are legit people who were like not sold in that game that are like, I am so excited. That was June, guys. It wasn't that long ago. Now, maybe with hindsight being 2020 and seeing the situation now, would it have been better for Microsoft to hold off on the Starfield Direct and actually have it like right now, in the beginning of August, with the game launching a month later? Would that have been more effective? Maybe. But
I think the problem is people don't trust Microsoft. That's the truth of it. We don't trust Microsoft. We think there's got to be a caveat. Sorry, not cache. There's got to be some kind of caveat and stuff like that. So I think if it was Nintendo and they'd done a Nintendo Direct for Zelda in the same time frame with the same launch window, I don't think there'd be as much anxiety about it. But because Microsoft's they've been in the business of letting people down in the last 10 years, and I think they'd admit that. I think there's less trust, and thus, people forget really quickly when we've had something good. And the 45-minute Starfield Direct, it wasn't that long ago, like Rand said, but it feels long ago because you just don't know with Microsoft. You don't know whether to trust them. A lot of people at Microsoft right now are on vacation. It's the summer, so let them have a little break. And be patient. I think Starfield's going to be good. I'm not worried about Starfield at all, even a little bit.
Even a little bit.
I'm not even a little bit worried about that game.
Yeah. Oh my God, Turtles says, hey guys, just got back from a week away with my girlfriend. We went to a nice cottage in the middle of the woods for a week of walking picnics and visiting quaint Welsh villages. One problem though,
damn, wow.
It's been thunderstorms and rain the entire week. Because of this, we spent our time getting drunk, binge watching Netflix, and playing games. I put more hours in gaming this weekend than the entire of last month. We didn't go on a single picnic or hike. It's been magical. Also, for it being in the middle of absolute nowhere, I've had some of the best Wi-Fi I've ever experienced. It's like if I had a week at home, but with no responsibilities or pressure to do anything. Question. The scenario happens to you. How are you spending your week stuck in a cabin with nowhere to go? What are you watching, reading, playing? Have a great weekend.
That's awesome. Like, that is my ideal vacation right there you just described.
Yeah.
In a nice hotel just gaming. That sounds like a dream to me. But yeah, dude, the British weather's been so bad. It's been so bad. Like I know there's a meme about British weather, right? I'm not blind to that. But usually in the summer months, in July, it's actually summery. It's usually warm. It's usually dry. It's often dry. This year, it was raining non-stop and cold. At night, it's like 40 C. It's so weird right now. It's like autumnal. So I'm just worried that like this is going to precede some kind of crazy heat wave or something. But anyway, tangent. What am I playing if I'm in that situation? I would probably just start hitting my backlog.
Yeah, Persona. Maybe you'd finish it.
Yeah, maybe I'd finish Persona. Like one of the reasons, like joking aside, one of the reasons I just never really finish games is because I keep having to swap what I'm playing because of work. Right now I'm playing Baldur's Gate. Can't play Baldur's Gate during the podcast, but a good game to play while I'm podcasting is Remnant because it's more combat heavy. It's lighter on story. When I'm playing Baldur's Gate, like a lot of it is story. A lot of it's either listening to NPCs or reading what they say. So I can't really do that at the same time as podcasting, like, because I don't have two sets of ears, I guess. God, that'd be weird. Do you imagine having 4 ears? That'd be weird. Yeah, I'd probably just catch my backlog, man. I'd play Persona. I started playing Tactics Ogre as well, which I'm really enjoying. Tactics Ogre is so good. I'd finish Dragon Quest as well, probably. I catch up on a lot of Japanese games that are sort of half finished. Tales of Arise as well is also in my backlog. Not Lies of P. Wolong. There's a lot of games I play. I play so many games. I say on Twitter the other day, like, because I've actually started putting my backlog into a spreadsheet, and it is bad. It is so bad, and I've sort of like estimated how far I'm through each game. It's bad, bro. My backlog is terrible, bro. It's awful. It's the worst backlog in history.
You need to go on vacation for a month like this, like him, so you can just play a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, for me, I would just I'd read a whole bunch of books, play a whole bunch of games, catch up on my backlog. You watch a whole bunch of Netflix, catch up on some of the long series that I've never watched that I wanted to watch, like Justified or Better Call Saul. Yeah, no, I haven't watched Better Call Saul yet. That's probably
I really
want to
watch that too, man.
Yeah.
I saw some clips of Better Call Saul, like scrolling through YouTube Shorts or wherever. Looks really good.
We have a super chat here from James Wiseau. Haven't been able to catch live today, but looking forward to listening tomorrow. Have a nice weekend, guys. Have a good weekend yourself.
Thanks, brother.
Paris in the chat saying, in my opinion, no Starfield Direct gave people plenty of time to watch it and make a purchase decision. So.
Did you make a purchase decision, man? Oh, actually, that's one thing I wanted you to ask in the chat. Someone actually put this in the chat, and this might be good for a poll. Are you going to buy Starfield, or are you going to play it on Game Pass?
Okay, I'll ask that.
I thought that was an interesting one.
How will you play Starfield? Question mark. Buying it on Xbox? What are the choices? Buying it on Xbox, buying it on PC?
No, buying it or Game Passing it.
Oh.
Do you buy it or do you Game Pass it?
Well, what about but I mean, there's Game Pass console, there's Game Pass PC, there's Steam, like
just any Game Pass.
Buying it. Hold on, buying on Xbox. I'm gonna have buying on Steam. I wanna break it down. Buying on Steam. Add an option. Game Pass on either console or PC. Console/PC. And then not playing Starfield. There you go.
That'd be interesting. I'll put that same poll up on Spotify.
There you go. Let's see. We go back to the Patreon questions. We have Randy Dickens the second. Jez, did you get anything from the Xbox team about Dolby Atmos when you were in LA? I picked up a Sonos soundbar and subwoofer, and I've really been disappointed with the issues on the console.
I've I have spoken to them about this because a lot of people do ask me about this, and it's a really it's an annoying issue. And what they've basically said to me is that it's difficult to account for all the different scenarios and setups that Dolby Atmos can possibly incorporate. Because Dolby Atmos is like it's a whole universe of incongruent technologies. And one of the issues is anything like cable quality, cable bandwidth, all those kind of things can affect it. And it's sort of like it's difficult for them to troubleshoot. So I think it's probably not a high priority for them, but I'll try and bring it up again and get some questions. Maybe I'll solicit feedback on a comments thread on Windows Central, and we can pass those comments to Xbox directly. But yeah, I'll investigate.
People are saying we did the poll wrong because we didn't include the Game Pass and upgrade solution.
Oh.
So because L. Paul says, does Starfield upgrade for Game Pass count as buying it?
Good question.
I would say no, that's Game Pass. But then again, you are spending $35 to play it early and getting the expansion, so... Yeah.
Bro, I just got one-shotted in...
Good.
In,
Achievement asks, what if Xbox gave third parties console licenses? Similar to NVIDIA, they have a Founders Edition Xbox that was the baseline, but Dell, Asus, HP, Lenovo could come in and make a console. Then you wouldn't have to rely on pro or handheld models because you give it to the third parties to decide. Sony could even make an Xbox if they wanted. So, like, leave it up to third party manufacturers to make the Xboxes.
I often have this thought experiment in my head. What if Microsoft just went to OEMs and was just like, "Here's the spec of the next Xbox. Go and make your own Xbox." You know, kind of like they do with Windows. That'd be interesting. Sure would. It'd solve a lot of problems. But I think a lot of people wouldn't be very happy about it.
Yeah, probably not. I don't know. Honestly, don't know like what I would think if that happened. Achievement. So that is an interesting question. It's not something I could see happening, but it is interesting. CJ says, "Happy Friday, gents. I've noticed recently that you can't buy PlayStation games digitally anywhere, but direct from Sony. Where with Xbox you can buy digital codes from websites like CD Keys. Why do you think this is, and do you think it's likely to change anytime in the near future? Aren't they getting sued for that? Isn't there some class action lawsuit against PlayStation for this or something?
I honestly don't know. I don't know.
That you can't buy their games anywhere except from them? I could have sworn there's some sort of...
If there is, it's not going to work because then you'd have to force Apple to open up their store and stuff. But yeah, it's ultimately about profitability. Like if you've got a split where you buy your games easily, like you're sacrificing a cut there, right? I would think. So
yeah, I don't know. I remember reading something about this. Giggity says yes, there is a lawsuit against PlayStation for this. So yeah, people are saying yes in chat. I was correct that there is some lawsuit going on, but yeah. Oh, EU is suing them.
All right, interesting.
Okay.
Based EU.
Maybe it will change in the future, CJ. Jay Rembert in the super chat says, Rand, you should stream Starfield once the game releases. I'm not much of a streamer. Wix B says, how can I add play later games to the dashboard? I have no idea. I've never used the play later option. So I don't know. Saucy Mods, after acquiring ABK, what dormant Activision, not Blizzard, Jez, IP needs to be brought back first? For me, it would be Guitar Hero. I know that's a licensing nightmare, but that's still a game I break out all the time in the 360. Have a good weekend, guys. I mean, Jez will probably say Prototype. For me, I want Singularity. Give me a Singularity 2.
Singularity 2 would be so good.
Yeah.
I think, like, they own the publishing rights to Hexen, so Hexen would probably be my pick. It's a no-brainer, really, for id. And they haven't been able to make one because, obviously, Activision owns the publishing rights on more broadly. I think Bethesda does own the publishing rights for PC, but obviously they wanna marry the publishing rights all under one umbrella. So hopefully we get a new Hexen. Eat Fresh Guy says Lost Vikings. That'd be awesome.
Hey, Brad Sams posted a picture of the retail box of the Series S, black 1 terabyte version.
Interesting.
Did you get yours, Jez?
I'm not. I don't think so. I don't think I'm getting one, bro.
Seems a month out seems quite early. Maybe this is because people are asking if this is his personal one, or if he just.
So it must be a review unit.
A review? What's there to review? It's the Series S with black with more storage. What's there to review?
A long time ago, they used to send me the different colors that they used to do. I've got like 3 or 4 Xbox Ones, just that are different colors, not even designs, just the colorways. So I don't know. But then Brad doesn't write anymore, so maybe
it's just a picture someone found of it on Reddit or something, and he just posted it.
Maybe Brad just photoshopped it.
Yeah. Chiefman, if you had to choose between an annual Game Pass discount or a family discount, which would you choose? Annual Game Pass, because I'm not getting family. So, Selfish Rand would be like, give me an annual Game Pass discount, please.
Selfish Rand. I know all about that.
I mean,
dude, I just need to tell you about this. I'm fighting the weirdest boss I've ever fought in a game in Remnant 2.
Okay.
The weirdest boss I've ever fought in my life. So what it is, right? It's a maze. The boss is a maze. It's a labyrinth.
Oh yeah, I've seen videos of that. Yep. With like boxes, purple boxes or something.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. For those who are listening, like there are purple boxes that come down, like huge cubes that must weigh like 1,000 tons, and they just roll around this labyrinth and squash you to death. But to kill the boss, you have to shoot these sort of explosives that are on the side of some of the boxes. The explosives let you hide in the box instead of getting squashed by it. So you have to sort of work out where is safe to stand and where isn't to stand, while also navigating the labyrinth, while also shooting the correct spots on the boxes. It is so creative. I am so impressed by this game. The further I get into it, the just more and more I love it. I'm so impressed with this game, dude. Excellent. This boss is just nuts. And it's really hard to do this boss with the maze and the puzzling while also podcasting, because I'm trying not to get killed. Well, and there's like projectiles coming at me as well, which I didn't realize. So you can't even stand still in one spot where you think, oh, I'm safe here. You can't even do that either because the projectiles coming. I think I've died more times on this boss than I have in the whole game so far, because if the cube lands on you, that's it. You're dead. So,
right.
This is really cool, man. It's really, really interesting.
Lee Sanders says the team at Xbox 2 pitch meetings are taking the week off, so I'm really digging Exoprimal. Something about mowing down hundreds of dinosaurs and mechs is really fun. Have you guys played it? I have not, no, but I think Jez has.
I've played it.
Yeah,
I've played it. I kind of bounced off it because I hate the forced PvP in the game. So the game kind of forces you to race against another team, and it just feels bad when the announcer's constantly like, "Oh my god, you're too slow, like constantly." It's really irritating, and it's kind of like once the enemy team gets further ahead, it's really hard to catch up. It's like almost impossible, at least the version I played. So like once you get that first checkpoint and it says you're falling behind, you just know you're gonna lose the game. So at that point I lose motivation, everyone in the team loses motivation, and then it's pretty much a guaranteed loss. So I wish they just made it PvE only. I really wish it was PvE only, so I didn't have to so I could just compete against myself, and if there was leaderboards or something, so I didn't have to constantly listen to the announcer, talking about how terrible the team is. And also, it depends on how good your team is as well, of course. So even if you're playing really well, if your team sucks, then it's GG, and it's frustrating. So
hey, did you
I kind of bounced off it.
Did you see John Cena's just been unmasked as the mysterious Enigma in Overwatch 2?
John Cena?
Yeah, John Cena is the Enigma hacker who's been popping up in Overwatch 2 streams and games over the past week.
Is he going to be a playable character?
But he won't be part of Overwatch 2 Invasion when it releases August 10th.
So, are you telling me they put him in as a character in the game?
I don't know. I'm seeing tweets all over right now about John Cena in Overwatch 2.
That is... That is weird.
Okay.
That is weird.
Any games obvious ones that you played and lost hours playing recently you recommend? I mean, I don't really lose hours in a bunch of games. I play a game, finish, and move on to the next. So, none from me. I don't know if Jez feels a little differently. But Jez is losing a lot of time to Remnant, though. Donataku. Yeah. My original question was, what do you expect the Metascore to be for Starfield? But someone just asked that in Super Chat. I'm predicting a 92. I mean, I'm predicting anywhere from like an 88 to a 92. I guess it really depends. My new question is, do you think any year in history has had 3 games that compete with Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3, and Starfield in 2023? Also, fun side question, what kind of mods are you guys hoping to see in the first year for Starfield? I mean, we talked a little bit earlier about how this has been a crazy year for gaming, because you talk about like RPGs. I mean, is Zelda classified as an RPG, or is that more of an action game? Baldur's Gate 3, Starfield... that's just like kind of recently, not to mention like Diablo 4 and stuff like this. Normally you can sort of easily predict the Game of the Year nominees. Obviously it's super easy to predict which game's going to win. It's Tears of the Kingdom. But this year, with the slew of games that are actually highly rated and very good, it's very difficult. Like, there's a chance Starfield, even if it's good, even if it's like a 90, maybe doesn't make it in and Baldur's Gate does it instead. You know? Like, you could have a situation where maybe Spider-Man 2 doesn't get in. Or, or something. Just because there's from a Diablo to Star Wars Jedi Survivor to Resident Evil 4 to...
I can see Diablo not getting it now.
Possibly. Maybe the season's like soured people on it and stuff, right?
They've scuffed the season so bad. I think the game journalists who are on the panel are just going to be like, and forget how it launched. Like, Diablo 4 is in a precarious position of going the way of Halo Infinite right now. I don't know.
And you said you weren't worried about them.
Yeah, well.
Parker Griffith says, if you guys were going to be put into a Blizzard universe for 24 hours on the hardest difficulty, which one would you guys think you could survive? Also, can you get an Xbox 2 StarCraft 2 tourney? Maybe. Which universe would I want to be in and survive at the hardest difficulty? Maybe Overwatch 2? Or Overwatch? I mean, I've done some of the Overwatch like events they used to have at the hardest difficulty. Maybe that one? I wouldn't be able to survive StarCraft or Warcraft or World of Warcraft or Diablo, so probably have to be that one. Sierra11 Kevin, were you guys surprised at all that Anstream came out on Xbox? Have you tried it out? It runs pretty well. I have not tried it out.
I haven't tried it out myself.
I didn't even know it existed until I think somebody super chat. It was like, 1,400 games on Xbox, and how Phil kind of had a hand in it coming over, so... I guess you could say I'm surprised because I didn't know it existed. So,
yeah, it's cool to see, and I guess it's part of Microsoft's commitments to supporting other services and stuff.
Yeah.
They'll probably talk about it in their CMA negotiations, which are ongoing right now. Do we know any upcoming significant dates for the CMA stuff, by the way, Rand?
I mean, all I know is like the August 29th one stands out, but there could be more. I just haven't really been paying any attention to it anymore, really.
Fair enough.
True Iron Leg, with the topic of Starfield and DLC, how many DLCs will we get, do you think? With Fallout 4 having 6, I think there would be 8 for Starfield. Did Fallout 4 have 6, really?
Yeah, that's a lot, man.
I thought
I
Fallout
don't know exactly how many.
Didn't it only really have like 2 significant expansions and like some...
I think there were some smaller DLCs. And
yeah,
then
like
some
the
bigger
building
ones,
one,
yeah.
right? Wasn't there like a building one that was super small? But there was like...
I can't remember exactly off the top of my head.
Well, we know there's 1, maybe 3? I don't know. I don't know how quickly they're going to move on from Starfield to start working on Elder Scrolls. So...
Oh, they're already working on Elder Scrolls.
No, they're not. They're all on Starfield. They ain't nobody working on Elder Scrolls in that game. With
there
that.
is work being done on
No,
Elder
there's
Scrolls,
not.
right?
There's no work
Yes,
being
there
done.
is.
There is absolutely
Yes,
no
there
work
is.
being done on Elder Scrolls.
Yes, there is.
That whole team is on Starfield to finish it. Nobody's on Elder Scrolls. Maybe the janitor.
The janitor is important to Elder Scrolls.
I would think maybe, I don't know, maybe 2 significant expansions, and maybe they have some smaller stuff. I don't know. Parker Petrov says, now that all signs point to Microsoft acquiring ABK, do you think we will see a World of Warcraft 2? As a World of Warcraft 2 would be able to be built from the ground up with console support. This is your question, Jez. World of Warcraft 2, is it a go or no?
Well, there was a pretty significant update to the Xbox Insider Ring that is gonna kind of portend World of Warcraft being on the box, because what Microsoft did was they allow you now on Xbox consoles to set the back buttons on Elite Controller to keyboard keybinds. So you can set. So, for example, one of the things that I do in World of Warcraft to play my class, there is a lot of some classes have a lot of keybinds that they need. So me playing a warlock, a demonology warlock, is a bit like learning to play a musical instrument. I've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got about 20 keybinds that I regularly use for abilities in World of Warcraft. And I was thinking, like, how would that translate to console? You couldn't have done it, not easily, before, because there's, you have to always have your thumbs ready to move in a game like World of Warcraft, which of course you can do with the keyboard and mouse. But with a controller, you kind of like, sometimes you are having to move your finger off the thumbstick to press one of the face buttons, right? And this is like one of the issues I had playing Armored Core, was that the game demands so much of you that moving your thumb off the look stick to press ABXY is a big problem. So I was thinking, like, man, I wish this game had a Elite Controller. The preview event had a Elite Controller, so I could use the back buttons, right? But now, with the new Xbox update, you can bind the back buttons not only to random keyboard keybinds, you can also bind them to Shift and Control and things like that. So you could use them as a modifier button. So, like, for example, you could have one of the back buttons bound to Shift, and then you hold Shift and press R1, and maybe that's your A button. You hold Shift and press R2, maybe that's your B button. So by adding Shift to the back buttons to modify your ABXY and your triggers, that kind of adds tons and tons of potential extra keybinds, which you would need to do if you're playing World of Warcraft. And that's how some of the keyboard mods work, the gamepad mods work for World of Warcraft. So I think the chance of World of Warcraft coming to Xbox is exponentially higher, and the fact they made this change has to probably be because they are exploring World of Warcraft on the box. Now, does that mean they're going to be working on World of Warcraft 2? I think there's also a very high chance of this as well, personally. One of the issues World of Warcraft has these days is the engine is like so kind of, it's so old, and it doesn't translate well to modern hardware. Like, you get lag even on high-end systems because it only uses one core, I think, or something like that. So there's a lot of things I could probably do with a modern engine if they did make a new engine from the ground up for it, for one thing. And also it sort of comes back to that, like, what more can they do with WoW, to grow it and stuff? One way could be like, you make a whole new game that's sort of either got a time skip in it or something like that, with a new engine, new graphics engine, new graphics stack and stuff like that. Maybe that's how you do it. But I think we could see the classic World of Warcraft retail, and also I think we could see World of Warcraft 2 eventually. Yeah, I really do.
Well, interesting. I couldn't care less. Mixeraticus Cisco Seeker of Hearts says, if you could switch 1 or 2 developers, publishers acquired by Xbox, for others of somewhat similar size, which one would you trade? That would mean that the other acquisition never happened. I mean, if you're talking about it personally, from the business, personally, I would trade ABK for Take-Two in a heartbeat.
Ew.
Hell, I would trade ABK for Square Enix in a heartbeat and Capcom.
Ew.
I mean, I get it from the business wise, ABK makes the most sense, but from personal wise, definitely not. Hell, I would trade ABK for EA without any questions asked.
Ew.
So, I don't know if Jez has any, but I'm sure he's fine with the Blizzard, and I'm perfectly happy with Bethesda. So,
I'm pretty happy with Blizzard. Who would I trade? I might trade with one of the smaller devs, maybe. I'd trade Compulsion for Larian.
yeah, but similar size, though. Larian's 400 people. Compulsion's not,
okay. So, I would trade the Activision portion of ABK for a lot of studios. I don't care about Call of Duty, but I know it's really important.
You can't divvy it up. It's got to be all of ABK, not just Activision. Maybe you trade Obsidian for Larian.
Obsidian for Larian.
Doesn't Obsidian have like 400 people, or they have only like 200? I'm not sure.
I wouldn't trade Obsidian for Larian. I really like Larian, but I think Obsidian's way more versatile. I really want 11-bit studios somehow. If I can get 11-bit studios into the mix, that'd be great. And Paradox as well. I think Paradox would be great for Microsoft. But I don't know. I think it's funny how Xbox fans we shop around because we know that Microsoft's going to buy the studio.
Joaquin, he wrote in and basically said, "This is my thing." He wants us to talk about Embracer Group starting to close their studios. So apparently they shut down Campfire Cabal, which is a studio I've never heard of. But apparently Campfire Cabal opened its doors last September and was founded and led by Jonas Weaver, who also served as studio's creative director, and he was previously at Logic Artists, where he created the tactical RPG series Expeditions. According to THQ Nordic, the studio would focus on high-quality narrative-driven RPGs. But the studio did not have a chance to ship out its first game before its closure, apparently. So, I mean, I'm still of the opinion that you get this ABK thing done, and with all the money problems that Embracers have, and you go there and you pry to Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal from Embracer, you get those, and then I really think that's really all you really need from them, maybe.
Yeah, that's all I buy from Embracer. I think Embracer's business model is awful. Isn't Gunfire part of Embracer? That scares me.
Yeah, they might be. They might be.
So I will buy Gunfire. If Embracer falls, which I think they probably will, you get Gunfire, you get Crystal, you get Eidos, and then let the rest die.
Yeah. Anyways, let's take a look at this poll. We have 392 votes, or how many votes just come pouring in. So basically 400 votes, with 60% playing they're going to play it on Game Pass on either console or PC, 27% buying it on Xbox, 8% buying it on Steam, and 3% not playing Starfield at all.
Damn.
So I would imagine, though, like, we don't have a lot of PC gamers listening to our podcast, so this is obviously way skewed towards Xbox.
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah. One Bad Mother says they need Crystal Dynamics, Eidos, and Certain Affinity to protect Fable, Perfect Dark, and Halo. All three studios have suddenly become incredibly important to establish Microsoft IPs. That is true. That is true. But, man, I thought this was going to be a short show, Jez. And it's not. We're almost at 4 hours. I don't know how this always happens.
What?
I don't know how this always happens.
Realize. I'm still stuck on this goddamn cube, man. What the hell?
But yeah, that's it for the show. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hit the like button if you haven't. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe if you're new to the channel. Thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring the show. You can always use code XB2 at checkout to get 20% off.
Yeah.
And free shipping worldwide. Keep in mind, Patreon members, we have Ultimate coming next week. We have a themed episode. I don't know about what, but we'll think of something. There's a lot of good recommendations. And then Xbox 2+1. for this month will be around the 15th, and we'll have Colin Moriarty on to talk about Xbox, PlayStation, Game Pass, and a whole bunch of fun stuff. Should be a very, very, very interesting, spicy podcast for sure.
Spicy. No
But,
spicy.
Yeah.
No spicy.
No spicy. Thank you guys so much for being here. We love you. And we'll see you next week.
Rock
Keep it gaming, everyone. Later.
Roll, baby. And don't forget to check out Manscaped.
Wait.
XB2.
You missed 4A games. Paul said missed 4A games. Yeah, 4A games is okay. I would get them too, but maybe Xbox wouldn't. Yes.
I keep forgetting how many days.
Yeah, Embracer owns so many. But either way, we'll be back on Friday next week. See you guys. Have a good weekend.
Hugs.
Peace.
Peace.